program he was on.
And these days he's teaching the game to the new generation as the head coach at Long Island University. One of the best games that Strickland ever played with the Blue Demons. And by the way, in the background, you might have heard a bunch of bowls connecting on top of the head of the world-famous Red Panda. Yeah, she's here performing on the unicycle, doing a terrific job as the pregame entertainment.
The Rod Strickland halftime show preempted
yes. But there's a lot of stuff happening
more
at
entertainment than you
Arena.
can handle at one night.
So Red Panda with an outstanding performance as we were talking here at Wintrust Arena. Then you've got the main event, the actual game between DePaul and 22nd ranked St. John's. And then at halftime, the Blue Demons will honor Rod Strickland as they retire his jersey. It'll be just the 5th jersey retirement in the history of DePaul men's basketball. You had the honor last year here at Wintrust Arena. Terry Cummings before you, and then the 2 greatest Blue Demons ever in George Mikan and Mark Aguirre. But I was talking about Rod Strickland. One of his best games ever as a Blue Demon took place against St. John's. It occurred in the NCAA tournament, the second round back in 1987. DePaul beat the Johnnies 83-75 in overtime. His backcourt mate, Kevin Edwards, had the big game, 26 points. Up front, Dallas Comagene had a double-double with 15 points and 10 rebounds, and Rod Strickland scored 16 points. Mark Jackson, his future teammate with the Knicks, at 23 to lead the Red Storm. I mean, that goes way back in the machine. Yeah,
you're picking up some old numbers. That those teams were great teams, both of those teams. St. John's team and the DePaul team that year had very competitive teams, obviously, in the tournament. And as I mentioned earlier, along with Kevin Edwards, that was a great backcourt, and they had some other great players on that team. So DePaul had a long stretch there. Rod Strickland was part of that run we had where the team was successful for a long time. And it's great to have him here back to kind of motivate these guys today, because it's going to be a big game against St. John's here.
All right, before we talk about this upcoming game against the Red Storm, we have to go back to what transpired over the weekend in Cincinnati against Xavier. The Demons lost about as tough of a game as you can lose. They were up by as many as 18 points in the second half against the Musketeers before losing 68-66 on a fadeaway at the buzzer by Filip Borovichinin. The Demons squandering that big lead. Then they tie it up late in the closing seconds on a deep 3 from the right side by C.J. Gunn, only to lose at the buzzer. Mentally, that's got to be tough to overcome. You can say, yeah, you move on to the next game, but these guys are human, just like the fans. That's hard to do.
Certainly is. And, I think if anything, looking forward to this game coming off the game. You want to get that taste out of your mouth, and stuff like that happens, and when it happens to you, you think the world's crashing down on you and it's come to an end. But, we've seen scores like that happen for numerous teams, come back from double-digit deficits in the second half, win games that they were down in. So you don't like it to happen to you, and it's something that you got to be able to put behind you, and obviously not easy to do, but no better time to come out. Perfect setup here, a 4-game winning streak here at home with the top 20-25 team. What better way to make up for that game and get your confidence back than to come in here and play a good game today.
Demons come in with a record of 12-10, Dave, 4-7 in Big East Conference play. And as you mentioned, 4 straight Big East home wins entering play tonight. St. John's has been one of the hottest teams in the country, though, having won 7 in a row, beating Butler last Wednesday 92-70 in New York. The Red Storm has taken 25 of its last 27 games in Big East play. In fact, the Johnnies have won 8 straight road games, a streak that started here at Wintrust Arena February 19th of last year. So while the Demons have gotten better since the first matchup against St. John's back on December 16th in New York, Johnnies won that game 79-66. The Johnnies have gotten significantly better since that matchup too.
Yeah, well, that's the mark of any good team, any well-coached team. I think, back to your point there, Zach, I think if they win tonight, it'll tie a program record for most consecutive conference wins on the road, which 9 consecutive wins on the road is something to be proud of. But we're going to try to put an end to that here. But these guys play well wherever they are, and you see teams like this that put teams together are well coached, able to play on the road, and sometimes there's less distractions on the road. You come in, you get a good night's sleep before the game, and then you go out and play a game, go to South. And once you have confidence on the road, it grows just like anything else. It's like making that first jump shot. Second one feels a lot better. So once they win, kind of get used to winning on the road, they get a formula. We talked about the Demons having to learn how to win as they progress as a team. They have done that at home, winning 4 in a row. They've yet to win on the road. So it's kind of a step-by-step process. And hopefully the Demons are going to be able to continue the success they've had here at home.
Where is St. John's vulnerable?
Where's what?
Where's St. John's vulnerable? Meaning, if you're DePaul, where are you looking to attack?
Vulnerable. I'm sorry. I wasn't. I thought you saw. I actually asked me where the campus was. I wasn't vulnerable. Where are they vulnerable?
Yeah. Because if you're going to pull off the upset,
they're vulnerable. They're one of the worst teams in the Big East with 3-point defense. They're a good 3-point. They went from, I think they were like 360th in the country in 3-point shooting last year. They recruited some shooters to the top team in the Big East in 3-point shooting, but they also allow teams to shoot a high percentage.
Moments ago, I had a chance to talk to Blue Demons head coach Chris Holtman, and we started off by addressing how special of a night this is for DePaul as they honor the legendary Rod Strickland.
Oh, it really is. Special for DePaul, special for Rod and his family, and well-earned. One of the really special point guards to play in college basketball and obviously beyond. It's been great to kind of get to know Rod. One of my first recruiting trips, I ran into him, and we were able to spend a little bit of time together. So really happy for Rod and his family.
You were a point guard back in the day, right?
Yeah, let's not ever say Chris Holtman and Rod Strickland together, and when we're referring to point guards.
You share DePaul in common.
Yes, we do. We love a DePaul, and man, I tell you, you see that with we had him talk to the team a little bit today. You see that with guys like him, and we talked about Mark and so many others. So it's been great to have those guys back.
All right, let's talk a little basketball. As tough of a loss as this team has suffered last time out at Xavier, psychologically, how do you get over that as a group?
Well, I think you get over it pretty quickly. I think it's you learn from it. You learn from what you did well. How do we do that better? And you learn from how do we close a game and do that better. So those are what you take from that moment. But there's no real time to feel sorry for yourself. You get a quick turnaround against one of the best teams in the country, one of the hottest teams in the country right now in St. John's.
Red Storm has won 7 in a row. When you watch them, what's different about that team today than when you saw them the first time in New York?
They're playing a couple of their guys a little bit more. Dylan Mitchell, transfer from Cincinnati, who's a rangy wing forward. He's playing more than what he played then. Like us, they've just gotten better. I think we've gotten better. They've gotten better. But you look at their metrics. Listen, I think this team can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. I felt like that watching them early, and as I've watched them and scouting other teams, I really feel like that, Zach. This is a Big East team that can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
So how do you give DePaul a chance to make a run tonight?
We need to be great on the glass, number one. Great on the glass, number one. We need to take care of the ball. We need to get high-quality shots. We need to be able to get some stuff in transition. But it begins with rebounding on both ends.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Daniels performing the national anthem this evening here at Wintrust Arena as we get set for the 59th meeting in the history of the DePaul St. John's series. Hi, everyone. Alongside DePaul great Dave Corzine, Zach Zaidman with you. What a night here at Wintrust Arena as the Blue Demons retire the jersey of the legendary point man Rod Strickland at halftime, and the Blue Demons looking to pull off the upset against the 22nd ranked team in the country, the Red Storm of St. John's. Let's get right to the starting lineups. We'll start with Chris Holtman's Blue Demons, a record of 12-10, 4-7 in Big East Conference play, but the Blue Demons are coming off back-to-back losses to Georgetown and Xavier on the road. A three-man backcourt for the Blue Demons. Leighton Blocker is the point man, 6'2" junior from Little Rock, Arkansas, a transfer from Arkansas in his second season with DePaul. He averages 12 points per game, more than 3.5 assists per contest, and 2.5 rebounds per game, but had just 4 points in the first meeting against St. John's, where he went 2 of 12 from the field in Queens against the Red Storm back in December. CJ Gunn is the second man in this three-man backcourt, 6'7" senior from Indianapolis, a transfer from Indiana in his second season with DePaul. He's the Blue Demons' leading scorer, averages 14.5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per contest, and nearly 2 assists per game. Gunn is coming off a 19-point performance at Xavier. He had 15 points against the Johnnies back in December in New York. The third man in the backcourt for the Blue Demons is R.J. Smith, a 6'3", 195-pound redshirt junior, a transfer from Colorado, who averages nearly 8 points per game. He had 13 points in the first matchup against St. John's. Up front for the Blue Demons, the stretch four is Théo Pierre-Justin, a 6'10" sophomore from France, who's beginning to heat it up from three-point territory, where he's shooting just a tick below 40% at 7 points and 5 rebounds in the loss at Xavier last time out. And rounding out the first five for the Blue Demons is 6'8" senior N.J. Benson, a transfer from Missouri State in his second year with DePaul. He averages 10-plus points per game and 7 rebounds per contest. He had 14 points and 8 boards at Xavier over the weekend. For Rick Pitino's St. John's Red Storm, the 22nd ranked team in the country, comes in with a record of 16-5, 9-1 in Big East Conference play. The Red Storm has won 7 in a row, the only conference loss this season for St. John's coming against Providence. A two-man backcourt for St. John's, Oziah Sellers, a 6'5" senior from Hayward, California, a transfer from Stanford. He averages 11 points per game. He's joined in the backcourt by Ian Jackson, a 6'5" sophomore transfer from North Carolina, who averages a little more than 11 points per game. He had 18 points in the Johnnies' last game against Butler. Up front for St. John's, and this is where St. John's is one of the best teams in the country. That frontline forward tandem, Dylan Mitchell, a 6'8" senior transfer from Cincinnati, who averages nearly 10 points per game and 7 rebounds per contest. He's coming off a double-double against Butler last time out, 14 points and 13 boards. Oak Park native Bryce Hopkins is the big forward. He averages 13.5 points per game and 5.5 rebounds per contest, a transfer from Providence. And the Demons held him to just 6 points in Queens back in December. No rebounds. He played just 23 minutes. And rounding out the first five for St. John's, one of the best players in the country, the preseason Big East Player of the Year, Zuby Ejiofor, transfer from Kansas in his third year at St. John's. Nearly 16 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per contest, nearly 3.5 assists per game, and 2 blocks. He's 6th in the Big East in scoring, 7th in rebounding, 4th in blocks. He had 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 blocks against DePaul back in December. The Blue Demons wearing their City Edition uniforms tonight, powder blue, with red numerals outlined in white, while St. John's wearing road red jerseys with white lettering and navy blue numerals. The officials this evening at Wintrust Arena, Pat Driscoll, Tim Claggerty, and Tony Henderson. NJ Benson will jump tip against edge of 4. The ball up in the air, and St. John's controls the tap, moving from left to right from our vantage point here at Wintrust Arena. Game number 59 in the all-time series underway. Demons play half-court man-to-man. Edge of 4 at the head of the circle. He hands off to Jackson. Bounce pass inside all alone, and missing a reverse layup is Mitchell. So the Demons catch a break. They've got the rebound. Here comes Layden Blocker across the line, right to left. Head of the key, Pierre Justin. C.J. Gunn now has it between the rings. Driving right, working on Hopkins. Kick out Blocker off to the right. Smith, head of the key, 15 to shoot. Off to the left, it's Smith. Driving, angle cut off. And now Smith fakes a 3, gives to Blocker in the corner. 5 to shoot. Blocker spins, left of the lane. Turnaround jump on the way. And air ball that's picked up by Ejiofor for St. John's. Into the front court, Sellers for the Red Storm. Ejiofor, head of the key. Now he hands off to Sellers, who gives right back to Ejiofor, top of the circle. Ejiofor stops the dribble, needs help. No one's coming to the ball. Swings a pass left side to Hopkins. He drives straight down the lane, under 10 to shoot. Up fake, shot blocked by Benson, and a foul's been called.
He blocked the shot or he tackled him. I'm not sure. He blocked it and tackled him, but goes down to both of them go down to the floor. Bryce Hopkins comes up and walks the line. There's a lot of contact on that. Definitely Benson went for the head fake completely and fell for the fake and picked up a pretty hard foul.
All right, so Bryce Hopkins at the line to shoot 2. A minute gone by, still scoreless as Hopkins misses the first free throw at the back of the rim. 75% at the stripe this season. Started his college career at Kentucky. And then transferred to Providence out of Fenwick High School. Here comes the second free throw. Hopkins puts it home, and St. John strikes first. A 1-0 lead over DePaul. A minute 10 gone by. Full court pressure by the Red Storm. Near sideline pass to R.J. Smith, who centers it. Now the Red Storm drops back, and crossing the timeline right to left, Smith. Hands off to Blocker near the midcourt stripe, off to the left, shakes the shoulders, and the Demons run the weave at the head of the key. Smith has it. Left side gun, a 3 on the way, and that one is way off, an air ball that bounces out of bounds in the far corner.
Do a little heat check for C.J. Gunn. When he gets hot, he can knock down a bunch of those in a row, but as we've seen throughout the course of the season, it kind of comes and goes. If he gets a hot hand, he's dangerous.
It's a 1-0 lead for St. John's over DePaul. A minute and a half gone by. Red Storm with the basketball. Hopkins has it off to the left in three-point territory. Checked by Pierre Justin. Whips a pass inside Sellers. Ball knocked away. It's picked up by St. John's. Edge of 4 has it. Left elbow. Jumper on the way. Back rim. No good. Offensive rebound underneath. It's Jackson and a kick out up high to Sellers. Sellers waits for a screen. Gets it. Spins to the head of the key. Drives right. Gives to edge of 4, left elbow, hop step, left of the lane, hangs in the air, and his layup goes in and out. Demons catch another break. R.J. Smith with the rebound. Into the front court straight away. Hesitation dribble. Drives right. Under the basket. Triple team. Kick out Gunn off to the right. Loops a pass up high. Pierre Justin hop step in the paint. Back up high. Gunn driving right. He's triple team. Fall away mid-post jumper. Hits the rim. Doesn't go in. And edge of 4 the rebound for St. John's. 1-0 the score. Johnny's on top of DePaul. 2.5 minutes gone by. Driving in Mitchell. Layup, no. Fight for the rebound. Hopkins has it out of the key. Off to the left. It's Jackson. He drives baseline and spins home a layup.
Not much scoring, but a lot of action so far, Zach.
Up a 3-0 lead for St. John's over DePaul. We played nearly 3 minutes, and the Demons have yet to get on the board. Layden Blocker at the top of the key. Drives right. Hangs in the air. Scoop layup. It goes in and out. Rebound Blocker, and he banks home a layup from the left side with the right hand.
St. John's players thought it was going to go in. They released to go down in the offense. Ball rolled back out. He just picked it up himself and put it back in. Blocker.
3 minutes gone by. 3-2 the score. St. John's with the lead. Edge of 4 at the head of the circle. Loops a pass left of the lane. It's Mitchell guarded by Blocker. Kick out left wing. It's Sellers. Holds the ball over his head. Swings the shoulders. Edge of 4 at the free throw line. Loops a pass inside Mitchell. His reverse layup. No good. Missed another bunny. Demons with the rebound. Here comes Layden Blocker across the line off to the right. He shakes the shoulders. Spins to the top of the key. Gives to Pierre Justin left wing behind the arc. Off to the right. It's Blocker. Loops a pass to Pierre Justin for 3, and it goes down from the head of the key. Demons take the lead. 5-3 over St. John's. Nearly 4 minutes gone by. Pierre Justin continues to impress from behind the arc. St. John's works the ball around the perimeter. Head of the key, Ejiofor. Checked by Benson. Hands to Hopkins between the rings. Drives to the free throw line. Penetrates left side. Hangs in the air, and he's fouled on a layup attempt. So Bryce Hopkins will go back to the line to shoot two. C.J. Gunn got him.
St. John's very aggressive taking the ball to the basket. They missed a couple point blank looks right at the rim. We've been lucky enough to get those rebounds and go back, but they're attacking the basket on every play.
Hopkins hits the first free throw. It rolled around every part of the rim before dropping in. It's a 5-4 game. DePaul on top of St. John's. 16:02 remaining in the first half.
Must be nice to get a free throw, huh?
Demons have shot one free throw in the last three halves of basketball as Hopkins knocks down the second free throw to tie up the game at 5. And now full court pressure by St. John's. Pierre Justin triggers in, bounces it to Blocker under the basket, and he'll cross the timeline right to left. Brandon Macklin in there now for the Demons. He's got it off to the right, fakes a three. Head of the circle, Pierre Justin. Now top of the key, Macklin shakes the shoulders, whips a pass left side, Smith. And R.J. Smith backs it out to the big DePaul logo at center court. He veers off to the right, three-point territory. He'll fire it up. And that one hits the front of the rim, doesn't go in. And we've got a whistle.
I think Benson was out of bounds. I think he's standing out of bounds. He's going for the offensive rebound. That's my guess.
There you go. Yep. Good call. So it'll be St. John's ball after this official timeout. 15:37 remaining in the first half. Demons hanging in, right? The way you look at these games, you want to keep yourself within striking distance each 4-minute span, and the Demons find themselves tied at 5 with St. John's with 15:37 remaining here in half number 1 at Wintrust Arena. It is time now for the Pepsi Who's Hot segment. Who's hot for the Blue Demons, or who will be hot for the Blue Demons tonight?
Yeah, you know, I've been putting a lot of thought into this one. I'm not sure. R.J. Smith came off a 1-for-6 game at Xavier, not one of his best games last time out, but in the game against St. John's earlier, R.J. came up with 13 points and knocked down 3 of the 7 3-point shots that the Demons hit in that game. And I'm looking for R.J. Smith to be hot from the outside today.
Pepsi Zero Sugar. It's bold, refreshing, and made for moments like this because game day deserves Pepsi. In the first meeting against St. John's in New York, Smith finished with 13 points. He had a career-high 8 assists at Xavier, but struggled from the field in that game against the Musketeers. So as I mentioned earlier, this is game number 59 of the all-time series between DePaul and St. John's. The Red Storm leading things 36-22, including 8 straight wins dating back to the 2022 Big East Tournament. St. John's beat DePaul 79-66 on December 16th in Queens. In the Rick Pitino era, St. John's has beaten the Demons by an average margin of 24 points. So it's time to start a brand new type of history against this St. John's team. And at least in the early going of this one, the Demons hanging in. 15:37 remaining in the first, 5-5 the score, DePaul and St. John's.
Well, it's been a lot of action. We're almost 5 minutes into this first half and a 5-5 score. Both teams play with a lot of energy, but not being very effective. Look at the shooting percentage. St. John's only has 1 basket so far in the game, 1 out of 6. They haven't taken a 3-point shot yet. Remember, St. John's went from last to first this year, 3-point shooting percentage. Last year, St. John's, that was a weakness for them. This year, they're one of the better teams in the Big East at 3-point shooting. But today, haven't taken one yet. 1 for 6 shooting. Demons only 2 for 7, though. So either team starting out shooting the ball well.
Yeah, in Big East play, St. John's enters number 2 in league action in scoring, averaging more than 84 points per game, 4th in field goal percentage at 47%, and number 1 in 3-point shooting in Big East play at 38%, 2nd in rebounding margin, fewest turnovers in conference play at 9, the most forced per game at 13 per, and number 3 in the league in blocks at nearly 5 blocks per contest. St. John's ball, the Red Storm having to go the full length of the floor. Dylan Mitchell, transfer from Cincinnati, triggers into another transfer from North Carolina, Ian Jackson. Left to right, will cross the timeline straight away, being hounded by Blocker. Uses a screen from Mitchell. Now a switch. Macklin guarding Jackson. And Jackson reverse pivots to the top of the key where he hands off to Sellers. Shakes the shoulders. Behind him, Ejiofor. He'll launch a top key three and knock it down. St. John's moves ahead 8-5 over DePaul. Nearly 5 minutes gone by.
Ejiofor can hurt you from out there, too. He's so effective anywhere on the floor.
R.J. Smith has it left of the circle for the Blue Demons. Loops a pass up high. N.J. Benson off to the right behind the arc. Blocker uses a screen. Gets to Macklin, right corner. He dribbles up high. 10 to shoot for DePaul. Macklin between the legs with the dribble, uses a Pierre Justin screen, spins left of the circle, bounce pass left of the lane. Benson spins past Ejiofor and loops in a layup. Excellent footwork by N.J. Benson to get the bucket. Demons down 1, 8-7 the score. St. John's on top, 14:40 to go in the first. Mid-post right of the lane. It's Mitchell up high. Jackson step back three is no good at the front of the rim. Rebound Ejiofor, up fake layup, no, but he got fouled on the play. And Ejiofor will head to the line and shoot two for St. John's.
Teo Pierre Justin picks up that foul. Ejiofor did a nice job. He was battling Benson on the board. Out hustled him for the ball, and then Pierre Justin came over from the weak side trying to help out. Got there late, picked up the foul.
Zuby Ejiofor, a 70% free throw shooter. Ejiofor bends the knee, snaps the wrist, and puts home the first free throw. Makes it 9-7 St. John's with 14 and a half minutes to go here in the first. When he hit the three moments ago, Ejiofor passed the 1,000-point mark at St. John's individually for him. The next free throw is also good for Ejiofor. So it's now 10-7 St. John's, 14:29 remaining first half. Demons with a basketball against full court St. John's pressure. Josan Sanin hounding R.J. Smith as he brings it up across the line. Now Blocker's got it between the rings. Right back to Smith, left of the circle. Hands off to Macklin as the Demons run that weave at the top of the key. Off to the left, Smith. Back to Macklin, right of the circle. Macklin holds the ball waist high. Now drives straight down the lane. Alley-oop! Oh, ball knocked away. A foul has been called on St. John's. N.J. Benson was looking to hammer that one home, roaming in from the right baseline, but he got fouled to prevent the dunk.
You know, according to our crack sports information director, Courtney Day, we lead the country in alley-oop passes and finishes, and a lot of that is because of the connection between those guys, Macklin and N.J. Benson, is at the free throw line right now.
Benson misses the first free throw. He struggled from the stripe all year long, entering play, shooting 49%. By the way, the foul called on Ejiofor, that's his first personal.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get him in early foul trouble.
The next free throw on the way for N.J. Benson is no good, and we've got a whistle. Was there a lane violation called? Yeah, there was on St. John's. So N.J. Benson will get another opportunity.
A chance to be embarrassed. Back in the NBA, they used to give you 3 to make 2, and every once in a while somebody miss all 3. You don't really get that opportunity too much anymore, but N.J. Benson here with a chance to get a hat trick.
Benson eyes the rim, bends the knees. He flicks the right wrist and puts home the free throw. Now a substitution for DePaul. 7-2 center Fabian Flores will enter as Benson sits. 14:05 to go. First half, St. John's 10, DePaul 8. It'll be Red Storm basketball. Dylan Darling, a transfer from Idaho State in the game. Brings it up across the line, feeds Hopkins off to the left. Ejiofor now left of the lane. Up high, it's Sellers. Now Darling has it between the rings. Drives right, stops at the elbow. Gives to Hopkins behind the arc of the right wing. Under 10 to shoot. Sanin has it off the left. Couple of up fakes. Feeds Hopkins head of the key. 3 to shoot. In the paint, floater, up shot, no. Fight for the rebound. It gets knocked out of bounds. Last touch, Ejiofor, DePaul ball.
Again, good job by the Demons to keep St. John's off the board. They are +5 in the Big East on rebounding. They're a very good rebounding team, offensively and defensively, so the Demons have to be active, keep their bodies on them.
I think the biggest problem facing the Blue Demons is what hurt them in the game at Xavier. It's this, the full court pressure they're about to encounter from St. John's. Demons had a very difficult time in the second half handling it, and they're going to have to do it again probably all game long against St. John's. Macklin triggers in, now under the basket. It's Layden Blocker working against Sadiku Abin Ayo. And Blocker crosses the timeline off to the right. Uses a Caleb Banks screen, spins to the right, head of the key, gun. working against Mitchell. Drives, kick out right corner. It's blocked. Back up high. Gunn, 11 to shoot. Jumper from the left elbow. Side rim. Doesn't go.
Wide open look at it.
Rebound, Sannon for St. John's in the hands of Darling. Cross the line straight away. Here's off to the right, check by Macklin. Head of the key, it's Ejiofor. Bounce pass to the free throw line, Sannon. Drives, angle cut off. Up high, 3 on the way. And that one is no good by Abin Ayo. And the Demons come up with a rebound. Blocker across the line, right to left. Hesitation dribble. Feeds Gunn left wing behind the arc. Gunn drives right. Up fake, spin move, layup. Banks it home with the scoop shot.
A tie score.
10-10, DePaul and St. John's. 12 and a half minutes to go here in the first. Off a curl, Sannon, top key 3 is no good. Rims out, and the rebound is taken down by Gunn. Into the hands now of Macklin. Across the line off to the right. Diagonal spin to the middle. Feeds Banks, head of the key. Off to the right, Gunn. Shakes the shoulders. Drives, right baseline. The C opens, and he banks home an easy layup with the right hand. DePaul takes the lead. 12-10 over number 22 St. John's, coming up on 12 minutes remaining here in the first half. Darling drives left and has his shot blocked out of bounds under the basket.
Defense by the Demons has been great so far. 2 out of 12 from the field for St. John's. Got to keep that kind of defensive pressure up.
12:05 to go in the first. DePaul 12, St. John's 10. Darling will trigger in front court baseline left for St. John's. He scored 17 points against DePaul in the first matchup in December. He loops a pass to Ruben Prey at the left elbow. Holds the ball chest high. Hands off to Hopkins. 3-point range to the left with 15 to shoot. Hopkins drives to the free throw line. Bounce pass inside. Too strong for Prey. Picks it up under the basket. Now a reverse wild hook. No good. Rebound Mitchell has it mid-post. Turn around hook with the left hand. Short. Prey a one-handed rebound under the basket, and he's fouled.
CJ Gunn picks up that foul. I tell you, St. John's is as aggressive as I've seen any team all year on those offensive boards. The Demons are really out to have to work keeping a body on these guys, keeping them off the board.
CJ Gunn picking up his second personal tape, so that's something we're going to have to monitor the rest of the way here in this first half. 11:47 to go, official timeout. DePaul 12, St. John's 10. We're in the first half. Demons have been red hot from the floor, hitting 5 of their last 7 from the field. On the flip side, St. John's has gone on a scoring drought of 2 minutes and 42 seconds, but the Red Storm winning the battle of the boards here in the early going 11-7 over DePaul, including 6 offensive boards.
Yeah, well, I've been pointing that out the whole game, how aggressive they've been on the offensive board. They're playing hard. They've won 7 games in a row. They have a kind of a system that they're running, a personality as a team that they're going to be aggressive, and they're coming out and playing hard.
Hey, Blue Demon fans, when it's game day, make Pepsi Zero Sugar your drink of choice. It's bold, refreshing, and made for moments like this because game day deserves Pepsi, proud partner of DePaul Athletics. So it was about a year ago where you had your jersey retired here at Wintrust Arena. At this point, do you think Rod Strickland is nervous? Were you nervous as the first half was unfolding, knowing you were about to head to center court and address the crowd here at Wintrust?
Yeah, I spent at least a month or so getting my speech ready, and then froze on the whole thing once I got out there. And I couldn't decide, should I read it? I wrote it all out, and I was going to read it.
Right.
And then as I got there, I thought, it's going to seem insincere if I read it. I think I studied enough to come from the heart.
Oh, boy.
That was a mistake.
Oh, boy.
So I blurbed something out, but my advice for Rod is to take a deep breath, and I'm sure he'll handle it better than I do. He's used to being more in the public eye. He's still actively coaching, and he's dealt with a lot of situations like this.
Yeah, he's currently the head coach at Long Island University. And it's not like you're a guy who speaks for a living. It's not like every other day you're on the radio with me calling a DePaul game.
You know the difference is, a situation like that, obviously anybody that listens to these broadcasts realizes how many mistakes I make. But I can continue to just keep talking. We'll get another game coming up on Friday. This kind of a presentation here, it's going to happen once. I retired from playing at DePaul. I graduated DePaul in 78, so it's been almost 50 years since I got the opportunity to go out and talk at half court. So a lot more pressure and you only get that one chance to do it right. And I was fortunate, as I know Rod has been, to be involved in maybe the DePaul Hall of Fame or the his local Hall of Fames. Sometimes you get honors. And, you ever go to the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Those guys give some really good speeches.
Oh, yeah.
And I go there and I'm embarrassed. I'm actually in the Chicagoland Sports. That's how desperate they are for members. But my speech is pretty much thanks. And now I go, and these people have just tear-jerking presentations. And I'm sure Rod's going to do a much better job than I think they had me go first just to make Rod look better. He was actually the better player, but let's have Dave go. Rod will look like a orator.
Ready for the resumption of play. Dylan Darling will trigger in. Front court baseline right for St. John's. Chest pass to Sandin. Baseline jump from the right side goes down. And Sandin ties up the game at 12. DePaul and St. John's, 11:40 to go here in the first half. Now full court pressure by the Red Storm. Far corner pass to the freshman Cruz McClure. They center it to Macklin, and now Smith has it straight away for the Blue Demons, working against Darling. He'll cross the timeline straight away, standing on the big DePaul logo at center court. He veers off to the right of the circle. Inside pass. Flores, a two-handed jam. Excellent lead feed. R.J. Smith to the big man Flores for the Thunder dunk. And the Demons are back on top. 14-12 over St. John's. Coming up on 11 minutes to go here in the first half. Hopkins off to the left. Three-point territory. Whirls. Elbow jumper goes down.
That's a pretty tough shot compared to the dunk. If we can continue to get shots inside like that, we're one of the best in the country. Getting the ball to the big guys inside by the rim.
Under 11 minutes to go. First half, game tied at 14. DePaul and number 22, St. John's. Demons with the basketball. Head to the key, Smith. Right elbow, Macklin, and he's bumped by Mitchell.
That's the third team foul on St. John's. So we're far from the bonus. We've actually shot 2 free throws. NJ Benson shot 2 free throws. That's the most free throws we've shot in over 60 minutes of basketball.
Cruz McClure has the ball for the Blue Demons. Crosses the timeline right to left. Spins left. He's working on Sandin angle cut off. Now Smith fires up. Left circle three. Short. Rebound. Prey has the ball. Yanked away by Macklin. Left corner for the Blue Demons. A fresh 24 DePaul. Off to the right, R.J. Smith. Uses a screen. Loops a pass now right of the lane. It's Caleb Banks working the baseline. Stops the dribble. Up high, Smith. Extra pass. Now in the corner. Macklin for 3. And air ball from the left side. And a foul on the rebound attempt. Who's it on?
I don't think it was a foul. I think the ball was an air ball. It came down and it hit Darling. St. John's player Darling wasn't expecting it to hit the air ball.
Standing out of bounds.
So he was standing out of bounds. So here, Demons got the ball with 2 seconds to go.
Smith to trigger in, front court baseline, left feeds Cruz McClure, left corner, and he passes the ball to the paint. He did not know how much time was on the shot clock.
That's I don't know. You can't really blame that on the coach. That's a game situation. You got to be aware you're on the floor. How do you not know how much time? Each individual player has got to make their teammates aware of that. Even if one guy knew that there was only 2 seconds left, they all should have known.
So now St. John's ball approaching 10 minutes to go in the first half. The Red Storm can retake the lead on this possession. Game tied at 14. Off to the left, it's Ian Jackson. Holds the ball off over his head. Waits for a cutter. Feeds Hopkins. Left of the circle. Checked by Smith. Hopkins uses a screen. Dribbles to the free throw line. Hangs in the air. Right corner pass. Hop step Sellers along the baseline. Tying him up. Cruz McClure. No, they called a travel violation before the held ball. And
even better.
It will be DePaul basketball.
Right now, St. John's still 4 out of 16 shooting in this game. So let's give DePaul credit. St. John's one of the highest scoring teams in the Big East. Top 20, 25 team in the country. So far, Demons are shutting them down on the defensive end.
9:49 to go. First half. DePaul 14, St. John's 14. Brandon Macklin will trigger in for the Blue Demons, facing full court pressure with Mitchell defending the inbound passer. Macklin has to get it in play. Bounce pass, knocked out of bounds along the near sideline by Uzziah Sellers. St. John's is so athletic, so long. Sometimes it feels as though when you're trying to inbound it, you're looking at all arms and legs. As Macklin will trigger in now along the near sideline in the backcourt, has to loop it to Pierre Justin straight away. A bounce pass to Blocker. Now St. John's drops back, and Blocker will bring it up across the line right to left. Uses a screen from Macklin, drives right, accelerates to the hole. Angle cut off, and bounces it up high to Smith. Head of the key, Macklin uses a Pierre Justin screen, spins left. Shakes the shoulders, drives left. Angle cut off. Pass up high left of the circle, Smith. He drives behind the back. Foul line jump doesn't go, and we've got a foul on the play, on the rebound attempt. Loose ball, foul on St. John's. Shannon picks up the foul. That's his first.
Guess who we fouled? Macklin, because Macklin was in there battling the offensive boards.
All right, so Blocker will trigger in for the Blue Demons. Front court baseline left. Game tied at 14. 9:23 to go before halftime. Benson has it left corner. Dribbles up high. Hands off to Smith. Three-point range to the left. Now he drives baseline. Bounce pass to the right. Blocker for three. The high archer won't go. Hit the back of the rim. And the long rebound out to Ejiofor of St. John's. In the hands of Jackson across the line. Down the left sideline. Hesitation dribble. Goes behind the back. Stops at the three-point line marker. Off to the left. Ejiofor at the free throw line. Shannon has it left wing behind the arc. Checked by Smith. Beats him off the dribble. Drives to the free throw line. Hops up in the paint. Floater up. Counted and one.
Wow. He decided he was going to shoot that as he was at the half-court line there. He circled around and just put his head down and dribbled through the crowd. Able to get all the way, get the ball up on the backboard and in as he picked up the foul.
So St. John's goes back on top, 16-14 over DePaul. The free throw is good as Shannon completes the three-point play. 8:54 remaining, first half, 17-14 St. John's. Full court pressure by the Red Storm as R.J. Smith has it straight away in the backcourt. Working on Sellers, crosses the timeline, veers off to the right. Blocker on the big DePaul logo at center court. Left side pass, Macklin behind the arc, checked by Ejiofor. 15 to shoot for the Blue Demons. Macklin drives left, stops. Fall away jump shot left of the lane, doesn't go, but he drew the foul, and Macklin will go to the line and shoot two.
He drew the foul. When's the last time you've been able to say that? We have not been drawing very many fouls at all.
So Brandon Macklin is the last Blue Demon to attempt a free throw.
No, N.J. Benson.
Earlier in the game.
But the line. That almost doesn't count.
But entering play, the Blue Demons shot one free throw over the last three halves. And that one
really
free throw was a miss by Macklin.
Really an incredible statistic. In three halves, we shot one free throw. Shot one. That didn't make any. Shot one. 0 for 1 in three halves of NCAA basketball.
Macklin rattles home the first free throw. Makes it a 2-point game. 8:34 remaining in the first. Number 22, St. John's 17, DePaul 15. Macklin can make it a 1-point game if he knocks down this free throw. Eyes the rim, bends the knees, flicks the right wrist, and missed the free throw. At the back of the rim, a one-handed rebound for Hopkins, who brings it up across the line for St. John's. Jackson off to the left, three-point territory. Spins to the top of the key. Bodied up by Blocker. A bounce pass left to the circle, edge of 4. Now Shannon has it between the rings. Feeds Sellers near the midcourt stripe straight away. 15 to shoot for the Johnnies. Off to the left, it's Jackson. Uses a screen from the edge of 4. Launches a 3. And that hit backboard, no rim. Weak side rebound, Macklin for DePaul. Across the timeline straight away. Driving left, angle cut off. Up high, McClure. 3 on the way. Back rim doesn't go. And another rebound for St. John's. Hopkins has it. Lead feeds Sellers. He hops across the line off to the right. Head of the key now. It's Hopkins. Fakes a 3. Drives right. Behind him, it's Sellers for 3. Missed it from the corner. And a one-handed rebound for N.J. Benson and the Blue Demons. Into the hands of Macklin. He'll cross the line straight away with a left-handed dribble. 7:40 to go. First half. Demons down by 2 here at home against St. John's. Blocker. Left elbow. Whirls inside the paint. Hook shot. Right hand. Banks it home.
I don't even know if he knew where the rim was when he let that go. He just spun into the middle of the lane and just threw it up over the defenders and banged it off the backboard.
He ties up the game at 17, and now a shot blocked from the weak side. N.J. Benson with the rejection of the Ian Jackson layup. And that leads to a timeout. 7:17 to go here in the first. DePaul 17, St. John's 17. Here at Wintrust Arena. What a highly entertaining first half so far. Rush is proud to be the official health system and healthcare provider of DePaul Athletics, driven by discovery, innovation, and a deep responsibility for the health of our communities. Rush is a national leader in outstanding patient care, education, research, community partnerships, and empowering a new generation of healthcare providers. Visit rush.edu for more information and to find a location near you. So coming in, there was some thought around college basketball circles that this was considered a prototypical trap game for St. John's. And I'll tell you why. The Red Storm is back home at Madison Square Garden on Friday night to take on the second-ranked team in the country, UConn. So this massive top 25 Big East battle between St. John's and UConn will take place on Friday. This is Tuesday night here in Chicago against DePaul, and you can understand if St. John's is looking ahead, even with a head coach who keeps his eye on the ball in Rick Pitino.
Yeah, they're not going to give you too many chances to win a game. They, obviously, they have not played UConn yet this year in conference play. Their one loss came to Providence, who's won 2 games. I think Providence is 2-9 now, and we've got the St. John's team as 9-1 in Big East play. They're undefeated in Big East play, except for a home loss to Providence, who have won 2 games themselves in Big East play. So you never know on a night-to-night basis. But St. John's and UConn, the 2 top teams in the conference right now, haven't faced each other yet. So that's going to be a game. Both of those games, the second half of the season, they'll meet each other home and home. So, those will be very contested games.
St. John's was picked to finish first in the Big East preseason coaches poll. The Red Storm won the Big East last year, going 31-5. Repeat, 31-5, including 16-2 in conference play. They made the NCAA tournament and were upset by Arkansas in the second round of the Big Dance. St. John's started today in second place in the Big East, a game and a half behind UConn. Right now, in the second half, the Huskies lead Xavier 67-39. So that seems like
wow.
Seems like UConn is not looking ahead to that matchup with St. John's on Friday and first taking care of business against the Musketeers in Hartford tonight. Again, 7:17 remaining here in the first half. DePaul going toe-to-toe with the 22nd ranked St. John's Red Storm. Game tied at 17. Bryce Hopkins will trigger in along the near sideline in front of the DePaul bench for the Johnnies. 21 to shoot when the Red Storm puts the ball in play after that massive rejection underneath by N.J. Benson of Ian Jackson. Hopkins gets the ball and looks to trigger in. A bounce pass mid-post, right of the lane, Ejiofor, head of the key. Now Jackson holds the ball over his head, waiting for a cutter. Left side, Sen, he'll launch for 3. Back rim doesn't go. The long rebound knocked into the hands of Macklin, who gives the blocker across the line off to the left. Hop step in the paint, hangs in the air, layup, no! And a foul called. Layden Blocker will go to the line and shoot 2.
And again, I'll point out the importance of getting a whistle to go to Demon's way. They're 2 out of 4 now from the free throw line in this game, but I'm going to keep pointing out that they shot 1 free throw in 60 minutes of basketball. That Xavier game last time out, 0 for 1. Second half, Georgetown didn't shoot one, so good to see him at the line.
Blocker puts up the first and puts it in. Layden Blocker is one of the best free throw shooters in the Big East. Entered play number 6 in the conference from the stripe at 83%. Demons have the lead, 18-17 over St. John's, 7:02 to go first half. One more free throw for Blocker. Here it comes. It's good again. DePaul goes up by 2, 19-17 over the Johnnies. Under 7 minutes remaining here in the first half. Hopkins across the line off to the left. Checked by Pierre Justin. Bounce pass head of the key. Ejiofor holds the ball. Chest high. Gives to Jackson between the rings. Now back to Ejiofor, right of the circle. One bounce to his right. Ball knocked away. And it's picked up by Lefteris Leotopoulos, and he's immediately bumped by Cruz McClure.
Yeah, Cruz McClure looking to pick up that steal, reaching in and grabbing an arm instead of a ball.
So that's 16 fouls on the Blue Demons, which means St. John's will put it in play along the near sideline. Leotopoulos will trigger in front of us, and his inbounds pass is kicked out of bounds by Cruz McClure, who's defending the passer. So Leotopoulos will try again with 20 to shoot. He loops a pass near the midcourt stripe straight away for Ejiofor. Hands off to Jackson off to the right. Ejiofor head of the key. Right back to Jackson, left of the circle. Drives, hangs in the air, layup, banks it home. Went right at Benson to tie up the game at 19. 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Demons with the basketball. Blocker off to the left. Blocker working on Leotopoulos. Ball knocked away and it rolls out of bounds. Last touch along the baseline by Blocker. Turnover, DePaul. So St. John's ball. Straight away, Ian Jackson in the backcourt. Left to right, he crosses the timeline, immediately greeted by Blocker. Far sideline, it's Hopkins working on Pierre Justin. Head of the key, Ejiofor. Hand to the face from Benson. Gives to Jackson between the rings. Drives left. Hop step in the paint. Ball knocked away. Picks it up. Kick out. Leotopoulos for three. Missed it from the left side. Weak side rebound. Right of the lane, Ejiofor. Up high Jackson. Extra pass Hopkins. A right side three is no good. And skying for the rebound. Brandon Macklin for DePaul. And Macklin brings it into the front court. Accelerates straight down the lane. Hangs in the air. Layup too strong. Rebound Hopkins. And he flies into the front court left to right. Hopkins accelerates to the basket. Layup missed the body, but a foul called on DePaul.
This is a track meet if I've ever seen one right now. Full speed, one side to the other. Whoever gets the rebound, just going coast to coast. That time, we had Macklin unable to finish. He really was looking to gain contact and get to the free throw line, but ended up throwing up a bad shot that didn't come anywhere near even hitting the rim. Hopkins gets the rebound and sprints off down the other way here and gets fouled at the rim himself.
Game tied at 19. Hopkins puts up the first free throw. Missed it. 5:47 to go here in the first half. Hopkins will have one more. Teo Pierre Justin was called on the personal. That's his second. Benson and Blocker sit. And Flores and Smith re-enter for DePaul. One more free throw for Hopkins. Here it comes. And it spins out. Game remains tied at 19 as Hopkins missed both. 5:43 to go. First half. Demons can retake the lead on this possession. R.J. Smith across the line straight away. Working on Sellers. Gives to McClure off to the left. Macklin left wing behind the arc. Shakes the shoulder. Tries to the free throw line. Backing in right elbow. Up high Pierre Justin. Left of the circle with 10 to shoot. McClure uses a screen. Spins to the top of the key. Step back three is good. Cruz McClure gives DePaul the lead. 22-19 over St. John's. 5:15 to go in the first.
It's been a while since Cruz has knocked the shot down. Hopefully that'll get him going.
Sellers at the three-point line marker straight away. Gives to Jackson off to the left for St. John's. There's a lot of physical play underneath. Between the rings, Hopkins, hesitation dribble at the free throw line. Stops, bounce pass, right on the lane, Ejiofor. Working on Flores. Jumper on the way. The high arcer won't go. Macklin the rebound for DePaul. Right to left, he crosses the line straight away. Flips to Smith off to the right. Head of the key, Pierre Justin. Left wing behind the arc, Smith. Holds the ball over his head. And now the Demons will reset the offense at the mid-court stripe straight away. It's Smith. Flips to McClure between the rings. Macklin now has it left of the circle. Off to the right, Smith with 10 to shoot. Smith puts it on the floor. He's now between the circles. Waits for a Pierre Justin screen. Spins left. Stops at the elbow. Hesitation dribble. Mid-post left of the lane. 1 to shoot. Turnaround jump is an air ball and a shot clock violation by the Blue Demons.
St. John's defender fell down there. Leotopoulos falls down as the shot clock is getting ready to expire. R.J. Smith turned, looked at the basket. He had an open look, but I think he was worried about the shot clock expiring and just rushed the shot a little bit there.
Banks and Blocker back in as Pierre Justin and McClure sit. And into the game for the first time is the three-point sharpshooter, Ilya Miljasevic for DePaul. Demons up 22-19 over St. John's, approaching 4 minutes to go in the first half. St. John's on a scoring drought of 2+ minutes. Head of the circle, Ejiofor. Hands off to Jackson between the rings. Checked by Smith. Backs it out near the midcourt stripe. Uses a screen. Spins left. Layup blocked by Flores, and the loose ball rolls out of bounds. It was last touched by DePaul.
Flores can present a problem on the defensive end there. He's legitimately 7'2" or so. I know he's much bigger than me. A lot of these 7-footers aren't as tall as I am at 6'11", but he's got height and he's got athleticism.
So Hopkins will trigger in with 12 to shoot. Front court baseline left. In the corner left side, it's Ejiofor. Hand in the face from Flores. Ejiofor spins past him. Kick out right corner. Here's Hopkins for three. It's good. Game tied at 22.
Looks back at the bench. They're having a little conversation. I'm sure they were talking to him as he put that shot up.
3:45 remaining before halftime. It's been back and forth between DePaul and number 22, St. John's. Game tied at 22. Smith has it off to the right for the Blue Demons. Behind the back with the dribble. Up high, Miljasevic. Left corner, Caleb Banks. He dribbles to the top of the key. Now between the circles, Smith. Off to the right, Blocker. 10 to shoot for the Blue Demons. Blocker penetrates. Stops inside the paint. Fall away jump shot short. And the rebound knocked around. It's loose under the basket. Picked up by Banks. Couple of up fakes. Kick out right side. Smith for three. Bullseye! DePaul retakes the lead. 25-22 over St. John's. Coming up on 3 minutes to go in the first. Here's Ejiofor driving left. Ball knocked away. Stolen by Banks. Blue Demons basketball into the hands of Blocker off to the left in three-point territory. Now at the head of the key. He drives right under the basket. He's tripped up. Foul on Jackson.
Well, the Blocker laying on the floor. You got to be almost as tired as they are, Zach, with the action that's going on in this game back and forth. Leighton Blocker, give him credit. R.J. Smith knocked down that three, but that came off a fantastic second effort by Leighton Blocker to keep that offensive rebound alive. They got to bounce back out to R.J. Smith. He was able to knock down the open shot, but the hustle and the action, both of these teams playing hard, not getting a lot of points on the board, 25-22, but St. John's being held right now 7 out of 27, just barely 25% shooting. So it's a tight game, and give DePaul defense credit.
Demons are bringing it tonight. 2:54 remaining in the first half. DePaul on top of number 22 St. John's, 25-22. Zach Zaidman, Dave Corzine with you courtside at Wintrust Arena. Our engineer, and he's ailing. He's dealing with a little bit of a sickness, trying to fight through it. John Carey, the Silver Fox tonight. Blue Demon Nation, help recruit and retain the best student athletes in the Big East and nationally. Make a gift today to the Fund for Basketball Excellence. For more information, visit DePaulBlueDemons.com/give.
You know, the thing about John, Jack, is you never know about a broadcast. No matter how he's feeling, professional.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's always like DePaul. He's bringing it tonight. He understands the magnitude of this game. Blue Demons trying to stop a 2-game losing streak, trying to upset a top 25 team for the first time since 2023.
Got to play through it.
You got Rod Strickland. He's going to have his jersey retired at halftime. Red Panda performed in pregame. So this is an event night here in the South Loop.
When you can knock Red Panda out of the halftime show, you're somebody. And Rod Strickland came in here. He picked this night as a night for him to get his jersey retired, and he pushed Red Panda to the pregame show.
So my watch is telling me that the sound levels inside Wintrust Arena have hit 90 decibels. Around 30 minutes at this level can cause temporary hearing loss.
I recommend earplugs at this point.
So listen to the atmosphere here in the South Loop tonight. This has been building for the Blue Demons. They've won 4 straight Big East home games. The last time the Blue Demons won 5 consecutive Big East home games was a long time ago. But that's not going to be anywhere near the top storyline if the Blue Demons can pull off the upset tonight. It'll be the fact that they knocked off one of the top teams in the country. It'll be the fact that they would eclipse last year's Big East wins total. There's a lot on the line here. And I think this started, this atmosphere, this journey to Wintrust Arena by the fans really started with the Marquette game.
Yeah.
Back in January, the Blue Demons knocked off the Golden Eagles, and they've been playing at an extremely high level here at home ever since, and the fans are buying in to what the Blue Demons have been about.
Yeah, especially for those Marquette games. It's so often it seems like a home game for Marquette when they're playing well, but apparently their fans don't travel quite as well when they're not having a good year.
Blocker to trigger in. Front court baseline right. Fields Miljasevic for 3, and his shot hits the side of the backboard from the right corner.
Tough to come in as a three-point shooter when you're barely getting any playing time and start stroking threes.
And now we've got a foul away from the ball on the other end under the basket on the Blue Demons.
That's going to put St. John's on the line. That's their 8th team foul now.
And Caleb Banks called on the personal, got tangled up with Ruben Prey. 6'11" sophomore forward from Portugal for St. John's. Miljasevic sits back in the game. Brandon Macklin for DePaul. 2:44 remaining in the first half. DePaul 25, St. John's 22, and Prey at the line for a 1-and-1.
Caleb Banks' fortunes have changed since the last time we played St. John's. He had a double-double last time in that St. John's game, 19 points, 10 rebounds. So he hasn't really been able to be that effective since last great game was that St. John's game.
Bray knocks down the second free throw as well. So it's back to a 1-point game. DePaul 25, St. John's 24, 2:44 to go. First half, full court pressure by the Johnnies. Blocker's got it in the far corner in the backcourt. Now he'll cross the line straight away with a right-handed dribble. Immediately checked by Jackson. Blocker wearing a white headband tonight, powder blue shoes with the alternate powder blue uniforms this evening for DePaul. Fabian Flores, gold shoes, backing in mid-post right of the lane. He's blitzed by a double team, stops the dribble, feeds Smith right corner, under 10 to shoot. Smith drives to the free throw line, bounce pass inside all alone. Macklin banks home a layup with the right hand from the left side.
A backdoor play, good heads up, smart basketball.
Demons 27, St. John's 24, approaching 2 minutes to go in the first half. Between the circles, Hopkins uses a screen, bounces left, head of the key, Sellers. Hand to the face from Blocker at the free throw line, edge of 4. Drives right at Flores, layup, too strong, fight for the rebound. It's loose in the near corner. Demons come up with it. Here's Smith, lead feed, Macklin hops up in the bank, layup, doesn't go. Fight for the rebound, Banks, put back, no good, but Caleb got fouled on the play, and Caleb Banks will go to the line and shoot 2.
You know, St. John's had a pretty large rebounding advantage early. A lot of that's because they're missing shots, and they've been able to get on the offensive boards. They have 9 of their 19 rebounds have been on the offensive boards, but overall, Demons 18 boards, St. John's 19. In spite of how aggressive St. John's been playing, the Demons battling them all the way.
Banks puts up the first free throw, missed it short. A foul was called on Ruben Frey, his first. 1:45 to go, first half. DePaul 27, St. John's 24.
We're getting ourselves to the free throw line once in a while here. Now we got to start capitalizing on it.
Banks bends the knees, snaps the right wrist, and knocks home the second free throw. So the ball goes up by 4, 28-24 over number 22, St. John's. 1:45 remaining before halftime. Johnny's with the basketball. Hopkins across the line off to the left. Spins, gives to Prey near the midcourt stripe straight away. Prey dribbles left of the circle. Bounce pass inside, ball knocked away. It's taken away by Blocker. Here come the Demons. Blocker straight away at the free throw line. Hesitation dribble. Hop step left of the lane. Up high, it's Banks. Off to the right, Macklin behind the arc. Macklin waits for a screen. Now loops a pass inside Banks. Kick out left corner. Blocker doesn't shoot it. Roams baseline. Up high. Banks for 3. Missed it from the left wing. Rebound Macklin right of the lane. Fresh 24 DePaul. Left of the circle, Banks shakes the shoulders, drives up high. Macklin accelerates left, shot taken away on a block by Prey. Here comes St. John's. Sellers, right side 3 is good.
Oh boy, that's a quiet crowd, quieter there. That's a transition 3. Haven't seen St. John's make many of those. They're only 3 for 11 now from behind the 3-point line.
Timeout, Blue Demons. 48.2 seconds remaining in the first half. It's DePaul 28, St. John's 27. Zach Saban, Dave Corzine with you courtside here at Wintrust Arena as the Blue Demons look to win their 5th consecutive league home game. All right, so 48.2 seconds remaining. Let's play this game again.
2-for-1 thing, Zach?
Yeah, do you believe this is going to be a 2-for-1?
Was it ever we were betting a punch in the kidney?
Well, I think you would call a timeout at this point because you're trying to
feel
set.
Pretty confident when you're betting a punch in the kidney.
But I think at this point you're kind of setting up a 2-for-1, right? Calling a timeout here with 48.2 seconds to go.
I thought I was being smart earlier in the year, talking about a 2-for-1 potential situation, and I called it out numerous times and never really saw them come out and play that. You don't see it as much. At least I haven't in college basketball as you do in the NBA. But this would be a situation for your this would be a good time. But you need to take 30 seconds on the shot clock if you're going to get 2 possessions in the extra 18 seconds. That means you got to get a shot off pretty quickly here to not allow St. John's to be able to run the clock out. So they're going to come on with full court pressure here, so they're not allowing us to do anything out of this timeout either.
Brandon Macklin will trigger in the backcourt along the near sideline in front of us. With Hopkins guarding the inbound passer. Macklin loops a pass far sideline. Banks in the backcourt. Behind him now, it's Blocker, and he brings it into the front court, right to left straight away. Working on Jackson, now blitzed by a double team. Spins out of it. He's at the right elbow. Accelerates. He's under the basket. Bounce pass taken away by Hopkins. Races into the front court, straight down the lane, and has his shot blocked. Hopkins picks up the loose ball and floats home a layup on the right side.
A lot of contact. Brandon Macklin is in the first row of the stands there, picking himself up and no whistle.
20 seconds remaining here in the first half. St. John's 29, DePaul 28. Shot clock off. Demons will hold for the final shot of the first half and look to take the lead. Off to the left, it's Macklin. Between the legs with the dribble. Now he's at the right elbow. Stops. Floater in the lane. Short rebound. Benson, turnaround. Layup. No good. An air ball as the shot clock and game clock expire here on the first half.
I wanted that one. I wanted to go in the locker room with that momentum of being in the lead. We led almost the whole first half there. Played a nice first half. It's a nice first half whether we're up or not here at halftime, but it would have been nice to knock down something to go in the locker room with the lead.
A turnover out of the timeout leads to St. John's taking the lead at the end of the first half. It's the Johnnies 29 and the Blue Demons 28 after the first 20 minutes of play here at Wintrust Arena. Zach Shadman and Dave Corzine with you courtside. And
getting ready for the halftime presentation celebration here.
Yeah, we are moments away from the halftime ceremonies beginning here at Wintrust Arena, which the Blue Demons will retire Rod Strickland's jersey. He was a major player back in the 1980s for the Blue Demons, wearing that number 10 DePaul uniform.
Talk about the distinction between having your jersey retired and your number retired.
There are only two players in the history of DePaul University that have their numbers retired. George Mikan's number 99 and Mark Aguirre's number 24. Every other retirement ceremony after that is just a jersey retirement ceremony. So that means the number 10 will hang from the rafters here at Wintrust Arena, honoring Rod Strickland, but other players can wear the number 10 jersey. Although I'm guessing you got to be a pretty special player to be given number 10 the rest of the way. Strickland led DePaul to 3 NCAA tournaments in his 3 years with the Blue Demons, including back-to-back Sweet 16s. He was a 2-time All-American, number 3 all-time at DePaul in assists, number 2 in steals. His junior year at DePaul, his final season as a Blue Demon, one of the best ever, 20 points per game and nearly 8 assists per contest, good enough to make him a first-round pick of the Knicks, and that led to a 17-year NBA career. Let's take a listen to the video tribute that's playing right now.
Rod at DePaul, for the fact we played 3 years, he had 68 wins, over 22 wins a season. She played as well as any point guard in America. I really feel coming out right now, he was the best point guard in America.
He's outstanding. There's so many great guards in the country, but you got to say, hey, this guy's one of them.
The New York Knickerbockers select Rod Strickland of DePaul.
That's the best handle, Rod Strickland.
You and a couple other guys that I could never block your shot.
I had Rod Strickland down that way. You know, he went to DePaul, like from Chicago. He helped me with everything.
Guaranteed made him jump like Rod Strickland.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we honor one of the greatest players in DePaul men's basketball history. A 2-time All-American, a Blue Demon legend, and one of the most dynamic guards ever to wear the scarlet and blue. Rod Strickland's impact on this program continues to resonate decades later. As we celebrate this historic moment, Rod is joined on the court by his family, his wife Cheryl, his children Tanner, Terrell, Ty, and Torrin, his mother Rosetta, and his brothers Steve and Byron. Please join us in welcoming home a DePaul great as we honor his legacy forever. Blue Demon fans, welcome Rod Strickland.
So Rod Strickland and his family now at center court. The crowd on its feet here at Wintrust Arena.
We invite Rod Strickland to come to the microphone to say a few words.
Yeah, wow. Man, this is big. I'm honored, I'm humbled, I'm grateful. Man, this is a big deal. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I want to thank President Manuel. I want to thank Dwayne Peavy, the athletic director. I want to thank the whole DePaul family for making this happen. Had some great years here. this is a big part of my history. This is the place that, you know, helped me find myself as a basketball player, and to really help me understand that I was a pro and I can move to the next level. So I appreciate this so much. And yeah. Y'all got to work with me. But no, I want to thank my teammates that rode the ride with me. I rode it with them. I want to thank the past greats who inspired me. And then, you know, right standing here behind me is my family, my rock, my everything. Like, yeah, so it's a blessing to stand here with them, because they saw me as an 18-year-old walking in here, going to Chicago and committing to DePaul, to now, you know, 59-year-old grown man. and they've seen the growth. So I'm happy and I'm honored that they're here with me to celebrate this. Chicago's second home for me. I love Chicago, man. I know I got my Chicago family in here. I know I got my Chicago family in here. I got my New York family in here. I got my Mitchell houses in here. I got Oak Hill Academy in here. I know I'm gonna forget some people, but thank y'all, man. I'm honored, I'm blessed, I'm thankful. Appreciate y'all.
And emotional Rod Strickland addressing the crowd.
Now we ask
here.
Ron and his family to gather around the north end free throw line for tonight's special
DePaul
unveiling.
Is about to unfurl a banner with his jersey number 10
on the count of three, we'll pull away the covering. 1, 2, 3. Let's see it.
It's a blue banner in white lettering. On top it says Rod Strickland, a white DePaul jersey underneath it, with the blue numeral 10 underneath the blue lettering spelling out DePaul, and underneath the jersey in white lettering, 1985 through 1988, the three magical seasons in which Strickland led the Blue Demons to 3 NCAA tournament appearances.
Rod Strickland was a 1987 and 1988 All-American, leading DePaul to 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances and back-to-back Sweet 16 runs during one of the most memorable eras in program history. One of the premier playmakers to ever wear the scarlet and blue, Rod is one of only 3 players in school history to lead the team in assists in 3 straight seasons. He still holds the DePaul single-season assists per game record, ranks 3rd all-time in career assists, and 2nd all-time in career steals. His excellence extended to the biggest stage, where he averaged more than 16 points per game across 8 NCAA tournament appearances, including one of the top assist performances in tournament history. From record books to postseason moments, Rod Strickland's legacy is defined by consistency, leadership, and greatness.
And now the entire Strickland family is standing underneath the
Ladies and
banner
gentlemen,
with his
let's hear it one
jersey,
more
taking
time
pictures.
For Rod Strickland.
As the crowd acknowledges this special moment for an all-time DePaul great, Rod Strickland. And just like you, a year ago here at Wintrust Arena, it gets very emotional when the enormity of the moment hits you.
On your jersey retirement at DePaul today.
And I know you
I'm
got
sorry,
a
I'm
little,
listening. I'm not sure. We're still. Oh, they've got other teammates that are have recorded a few things here.
Yeah, it's a bunch of basketball legends, not just
and
not
family
just
members.
DePaul
I'm seeing who they put up here.
teammates. So while those videos are playing, we'll get your thoughts on what you just witnessed, and give us an idea of what ran through your mind. You've been through it as you're watching Rod Strickland go through this special moment.
Yeah, obviously it's a huge honor. It's an emotional honor. Rod was choking up a little bit there, and it means so much, not only to the individual, but to his family and fans and everyone here that follows DePaul basketball and the tradition of DePaul basketball. Have Rod obviously is well respected and well deserving of an honor like this, and it had been a long time since they retired anybody's jerseys or numbers. We talked about before, only George Mike and Mark Aguirre, the two national players of the year, had their numbers retired, and DePaul just started a couple years ago retiring jerseys with Terry Cummings, and then I was fortunate to be honored last year, and now Rod Strickland. But there's been so many great players over the history of this program, and some of them are beginning to get recognized now, and Rod's certainly as deserving as anyone.
We're at the half here. Number 22, St. John's leading DePaul 29-28 on this special night here at Wintrust Arena. Let's get your quick thoughts in regards to this game, because the Blue Demons, and you knew it was going to be a special night before anything started because of the Rod Strickland jersey retirement, but to have that happen and the Blue Demons go toe-to-toe through the first 20 minutes with a top 25 team, one of the best teams in the country in St. John's, says a lot. The Demons are meeting the moment.
Yeah, well, it's only the first half so far. They don't give out trophies at halftime, so we got to come up with a big second half here, and if they can be motivated by what Rod Strickland has done or this honor that he's been given, he talked to the team before the game, and you get a guy like Rod Strickland that's had all the experience that he has had in his basketball career to give you a little bit of wisdom and inspiration. So far, 20 minutes into it, we're halftime here, and we're on the verge of what could be a big night for not only Rod, but everybody here with this program.
Yeah, something I want to point out that I think is extremely important, and we mentioned this earlier in the game. St. John's entered play in conference action this season. Number 2 in the Big East in scoring, 84-plus points per game. Number 1 in three-point shooting at 38%. Number 4 in field goal percentage at 47%. And number 2 in rebounding margin at plus 5.5. Tonight, when you look at the numbers, St. John's is shooting just 30% after one half of play, 9 of 30. Only 3 of 11 from three-point territory. That's 27%. And the Blue Demons and St. John's tied when it comes to the battle of the boards, each team with 20 rebounds. And the Blue Demons have just one more turnover than St. John's, 4-3 in that department. That's how DePaul has been able to stay in this game, by matching the physicality and toughness that St. John's generally dominates teams with on the floor.
You're absolutely right, Zach. And you look at these stats, they're crazy similar in terms of what these two teams have done as the score would reflect. But both teams shooting 9. At St. John's 9 out of 30 from the floor. DePaul 10 out of 30. DePaul 3 out of 11 from three-point shots. St. John's 3 out of 11. They've got an advantage. They've shot 8 out of 11 from the free throw line. We continue to talk about the trouble we've had getting to the free throw line. But today in the first half, we shot 8 of them, knocked down 5, but the advantage there goes to St. John's. They've shot 3 more free throws and made 3 more, and it's a 1-point game. So still, we're losing the battle at the free throw line, but all these other areas, as you say, Zach, are way more important. The rebounding margin, 20-20, battling them. You saw right out from the jump ball at the beginning of the game the aggressiveness that they played with, and now we've matched it. Now we'll go to the second half.
Yeah, as we get ready for half number 2 here at Wintrust Arena, St. John's with a 29-28 lead over DePaul, and we're so pleased to be joined now by the man of the hour, Rod Strickland. What was that like, by the way? You got emotional. Did you expect to tear up the way you did?
Well, I'll tell you this. I saw a video in the back that had me struggling. Yeah, but I'm like, I feel blessed. I feel honored. After you play so many years, you do so many things you don't expect. So when I was told that this was going to happen, like, it touched me. And to be here, the place that kind of started my ascension, like it felt good. And then, it's a whole new generation, new crowd, so to show me love, it's a good thing.
And you're part of DePaul forever now, as your jersey will hang in the rafters here at Wintrust Arena with
Absolutely.
the best of the best in DePaul history.
Absolutely.
And you knew about those guys when you played, and I'm talking about Mikan and Aguirre and Corzine and Terry Cummings.
Yep.
They're on that
and
level.
I'm one of 5.
Yeah.
I'm honored. Yeah, man. I mean, it's overwhelming. I really didn't know what I was going to say, how I was going to say it, because there were so many things in my head.
Did you not prepare a speech?
No, I don't.
I spent a month on my speech, and yours turned out much better than mine.
I can't prepare. If I prepare, I mess up. I can't do it.
You did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Dave.
As we get set here for the start of the second half, can you spend a few minutes with us as the game? And feel free to add your commentary. You can play the role of Dave Corzine here.
A little bit of an upgrade.
I can't do it as good.
A little bit of upgrade here. A special treat for people.
And it's pretty special to watch these current Blue Demons match the moment and go toe-to-toe with St. John's like you guys did back in '87 in the NCAA tournament. Demons begin the second half with the basketball trailing by 1, and they've got the ball moving from left to right from our vantage point right near the DePaul bench. Blocker has it right of the circle, head of the key. Benson right back to Blocker between the rings. Off to the left behind the arc, it's R.J. Smith, holds the ball by his right hip. He's checked by Sellers. Now drives to the right elbow. Angle cut off. Gunn has it left of the circle with 10 to shoot for the Blue Demons. Uses a Pierre Justin screen. Loops a pass inside. Pierre Justin ball knocked away. It's picked up by Ian Jackson for St. John's. Left side Sellers. A 3 on the way, and that goes down. Wow. So St. John's strikes first here in the second half.
Well, I'm not a coach, but that's not how you want to start the half.
I know one thing. That corner 3, can't give it up.
St. John's 32, DePaul 28. Blocker drives right. The angle cut off. Flips it up high to Pierre Justin along the right wing. Between the circles, Smith. Bounce pass inside. Pierre Justin. His pass blocked. Picked up by Benson, and he lays it up and in from the right side. So the Demons down by 2. 1 minute gone by here in the second half. Hopkins has it between the rings. Now edge of forehead of the key. Inside pass all alone. It's Mitchell for the layup.
A little mix up there on defense. Switching out. Both guys went to the 3-point line and let them slip.
You're now a coach at Long Island. Who was the biggest influence on you as a head coach now? Smith has it at the free throw line. Kick out left side. Gunn back up high. Smith for 3. It's good.
Plenty coaches. I've been around Rick Pitino, been around Larry Brown, been around Pat Riley, Rick Adelman. So I kind of soak some things in, but I really try to be who I am. But I definitely took some things from those guys.
Sellers has it. Mid-post left of the lane for St. John's. Now up high, it's Jackson. Off to the left, Sellers behind the arc. 5 to shoot for St. John's. Sellers tied up with Gunn. The possession arrow pointing St. John's way. So it'll be Johnny's ball. 2 minutes gone by second half. St. John's 34, DePaul 33. When did you know at DePaul that you were headed for some really special things?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because I always tell young people now, because this day and time, everybody thinks they're going to be a pro when they're in 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah.
But I gradually got better. I'll never forget when I came to DePaul. I didn't know if I was going to be a pro, because guys didn't leave early and things like. You had to be incredible. Mm-hmm. And I remember the maybe 6th, 7th game, we playing Georgetown. And I went in for my pat and shoulder ball and change hands, layup. And I heard Al McGuire said, "Star is born," and I was like, "Wow, I got a shot! I got a
You
shot!"
heard that while you're on the floor?
I got a shot. No, I went back. I went back to the dorm so I could hear.
You looked at the replay real fast.
Yes.
Demons move the ball around the perimeter. Left wing behind the arc. It's gun drives. Long two from the head of the key. Off glass, banks it home. And DePaul takes the lead. 35-34 over St. John's. 2.5 minutes gone by since halftime. Left of the circle. It's Hopkins for the Johnnies. Between the circles, Sellers feeds Ejiofor off the left, back to Sellers. His long jumper, no good. Rebound Ejiofor, the layup, counted and one.
Got to rebound that basketball. Defensive rebound.
How hard was it for you to leave New York? Because St. John's was in your backyard and they had some really good players, and you came here to Chicago to play at DePaul.
Well, they had Mark Jackson, so I wasn't going there. Syracuse had Pearl Washington, so I wasn't going there. Actually, Villanova and the University of Pittsburgh was the other two schools. But I love DePaul. DePaul was on national TV. People don't understand that. It was a top 5, top 10 program. And so I watched Kenny Patterson, Mark Aguirre, Terry Cummings in the open court, his shirts hanging out. Yeah. And, man, I just fell in love with DePaul. They didn't really have to recruit me. I kind of recruited them after a while.
And you ended up playing for Joey Meyer here in Chicago.
And I'm sorry because in talking at halftime, I wanted to acknowledge Coach Joe, because I had 3 great years here under him. And, God bless him. Yeah. But I really wish I would have acknowledged Joey Meyer and the Meyer family, including Ray Meyer.
How did they impact you?
Well, the impact is that they thought enough of me that they recruited me to a top 5, 10 program. They put me in a national spotlight. So now it was up to me to perform. So they gave me the opportunity and the platform.
St. John's with the ball. Ejiofor head of the key, fakes a jumper, drives, and he's fouled by Benson. So Ejiofor will go to the line to shoot 2. 16:28 remaining here in the second half. It's St. John's 36 to DePaul 35 as Ejiofor goes to the line. And you rewarded them helping lead DePaul to 3 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. You had some pretty good teammates, Kevin Edwards.
Absolutely. Terrence Green, Stanley Brundy. I gotta speak for my freshman class. Terrence Green, Stanley Brundy, and I came in here. And in those 3 years, we won over 70% of our games. So I got to give my guys a shout out. And then we brought in this JUCO guy that we knew nothing about, named Kevin Edwards, who could shoot the lights out. It was tough.
He hit that big jumper against St. John's, right, in the NCAA tournament, that overtime game.
Kevin Edwards hit a lot of big jumpers.
What in your, as you flash back to your memories at DePaul, what was the game that stands out in your mind?
St. John's.
87, second round in Rosemont.
Second round to get to the Sweet 16. That last shot with the left hand to tie the game, to put it in OT. But I remember Dallas Comedy purposely missing the free throw, but no one told him to do that.
No.
But it was a great play.
Means he was coached well just to know that.
He didn't know he purposely missed it until afterwards.
St. John's 38, DePaul 35, 16:22 remaining here in the second half. Demons with the basketball. Leighton Blocker has it between the rings. Bounce pass near sideline, knocked away, out of bounds.
This is the crucial time of the game.
Last touch by St. John's. It'll be DePaul ball with 16:16 remaining. St. John's 38, DePaul 35. There's the coaching you're talking. Why do you say that?
Well, you can kind of see momentum a little bit, so we want to make sure we stay close, give ourselves a chance, and give them something to think about.
CJ Gunn will trigger in along the near sideline, throws it into the backcourt. You can do that in college basketball. Blocker's got it and has his pocket picked by Darling. Now a foul's been called on Leighton Blocker.
Wow, you're not going to see that very often.
St. John's is trying to up their presence. They're trying to enforce their will on them right now.
The moment you found out what Dwayne Peavy was going to do for you, retire the jersey, take me through that moment and how you were able to process it.
Well, I'm not like a real excitable person. It's mostly inside.
Right.
So Dwayne Peavy tricked me, told me I was coming in to do some alumni stuff, and he wanted to show me some things and all that. So I sit down and he's going over the blah, blah, blah. And then he tells me, they're going to retire my jersey. And I can't even describe it, but I felt like, wow.
Yeah.
Man, because to be quite honest, I was hoping it happened. I was hoping it happened sooner.
Yeah.
So when you've done so much experience, been in this game for so long, I'm on to coaching. I wasn't even expecting it.
Right.
And so it was a great surprise. And like I said, I was honored, humble, grateful.
I can see you getting emotional right now. And enjoy the moment.
Oh, man.
Treasure this one. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. Rod Strickland.
Congratulations, Rod.
One of just 5 Blue Demons to have his jersey retired here at DePaul. Special moment for one of the legendary figures of DePaul basketball. All right, 15:36 remaining here in the second half. It's number 22 St. John's leading DePaul 40-35. The Johnnies have gone on a 6-0 run over the last minute 40 of game action.
Yeah, it was very interesting listening to you and Rod talk as the game kind of played out in the background. They're unfortunately not able to announce the game and come up with the score and talk to Rob. A very interesting conversation with Rob, and so great to see how emotional he was in this whole presentation when he was out at half court and even talking to you here on the radio. So fantastic that Rod was honored, and obviously not very many people, if anybody, respects it or deserved it more than Rod did. But as far as the game's going, we know we're looking at what's happened. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about the second half, as we've been talking about the honor to Rod Strickland there. But St. John's shooting 4 out of 8, 50%. Demons only got 4 shots up in the second half. They knocked 3 out of 4, continuing to hold close. But that 1-point lead by St. John's at halftime now been opened up to a 5-point lead. Been outscored 11-7 here in the second half. As I say, played 3 out of 4 shots, but St. John's has had more opportunities on the board, a couple more offensive rebounds. They've got 24 rebounds for the game now, and half of them have come on the offensive boards. 12 offensive and 12 defensive rebounds. They have an advantage of 13-6 on points off of second chance shots. So St. John's has been aggressive. We've matched them, been able to match them throughout the course of the game, and still fighting them on the boards and certainly fighting them on the scoreboard here with a 5-point game now at 5:15 minutes to go to the second half. But we just got to continue to play the type of defense without St. John's 34% shooting for the game. As I say, they picked it up a little bit here, 4 for 8 in the second half. But we've got to continue to clamp down on them. It's a tough way to win the game. Having to hold St. John's under about probably 70 points a game is what we're looking to do. And it's going to be tough to do.
Yeah, what's wild is in the second half, both teams have gotten off to hot starts. It was cold shooting in the first half. St. John's shot 30% from the floor. Demons shot 33%. St. John's had a 1-point lead at halftime. In the second half, St. John's 4 of 8 from the floor, and the Demons 3 of 4 from the field. The turnovers have ticked up a notch for DePaul in this second half, and that's something that you've got to watch out with St. John's, because in Big East play this season, St. John's has committed the fewest turnovers per game, 9 per contest, and they force the most, 13 per game.
It's just the turnover ratio. They're leading the league. Well, they get the points off turnovers in this game. St. John's has an advantage 12-2, so it's been a 10-point turn in this game with a 5-point game. So that's how important every aspect is. You look at any category of statistics, and they show up at the end of the game in the box score.
All right, it'll be DePaul ball out of the timeout. Demons have to go the full length of the floor. 15:36 remaining in the game. St. John's 40, DePaul 35. Macklin triggers in near sideline. It's the big man Flores, and Fabian Flores brings it up and gives to McClure along the near sideline, and he crosses the timeline off to the right. Gunn has it off to the right, head of the key. Macklin bounce pass left of the circle. Smith 15 to shoot for DePaul. Smith at the head of the key, off to the left. Macklin puts it on the floor between the legs with the dribble. 10 to shoot for the Demons. Hands off to Smith. 3-point range to left. 5 to shoot. Macklin head of the key. Fakes a 3. He drives left. Stops. Shot block. Ball loose. And it's going to be a shot clock violation on the Blue Demons.
Now, they didn't see that the shot had been blocked. Fabian Flores looking up at the rim to get the offensive rebound. The ball never showed up. he didn't realize that it had been blocked behind his back.
5 minutes gone by, second half. St. John's with the ball and a 5-point lead over the Blue Demons. Head of the key, it's Ejiofor, holds the ball waist high. Hands off to Dylan Darling between the circles. Uses a screen, bounces right inside. Pass knocked away. It's picked up by C.J. Gunn. DePaul basketball. Gunn into the front court, down the right sideline, between the legs with the dribble. Head of the key, McClure whips it left corner. A three on the way. R.J. Smith, back rim, no good. And Ejiofor, a one-handed rebound for St. John's. Darling across the line, off to the right. Pass inside, knocked away by Cruz McClure, and it rolls out of bounds along the far sideline. It'll be St. John's ball with 23 to shoot.
Demons got to put some points on the board. 6-0 run now for St. John's over the last 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Just as Rod said, this is a critical point in the game, and you've got to be able to shut down runs and put something on the board to calm them down.
Sadiku Ibn Ayo will trigger in for St. John's in the front court along the far sideline. Feeds Darling off to the right near the midcourt stripe. Loops a pass up high, top of the key. It's Ejiofor with a left-handed dribble. Working on Flores. Switches hands to his right. Behind him now, it's Sellers. Drives left elbow. Off to the left. Darling, head of the key. Sellers under 10 to shoot. Jumper up on the free throw line. No good. And the rebound taken down by blocker for DePaul. Outlet Macklin. Flies into the front court. Cruz McClure fakes a left side three, and now the Demons will reset the offense. Between the rings, it's blocker. Off to the right, Macklin behind the arc. Shakes the shoulders, working on Darling. He drives to the right elbow, and we've got an offensive foul called on Macklin.
Dylan Darling, he looks like he's about 5'6" out there. He was does a great job for them. Nice player, but he's very small. I'm sure he's used to faking those charges. A good acting job by Dylan Darling to pick up that charging call.
Demons have gone nearly 4 straight minutes without a point. St. John's also on a scoring drought of 2+ minutes. Darling has it off to the left, drives. He's under the basket. Angle cut off, throws it off to the right, and a jumper is up by Ejiofor, and it doesn't go. Rebound, C.J. Gunn into the front court. Blocker down the left sideline. Blocker drives left. Uses a Flores screen, spins to the top of the key, gives to Gunn. A right side three. That's no good at the back of the rim. Rebound yanked down by Mitchell for St. John's. Red Storm 40, Blue Demons 35, approaching 13 minutes to go in the game. Here's a three by Sellers, and it goes down from the right wing.
Be careful here again. Got to keep him within range.
So St. John's with its biggest lead of the game, up 43-35 over DePaul. 13 minutes to go, second half. Blocker drives right. He's along the baseline. And now he backs it out into three-point territory in the corner. Up high, Macklin driving right. Stops along the baseline, floats up a wild runner, no good. It was short. Macklin thought he got fouled, no call. Darling with the basketball across the line, off to the left. Right side behind the arc. It's Shannon. Head of the key, Ejiofor. Loops a pass to Mitchell, left of the lane. Working on Gunn. Feeds Sellers. Three-point range to the left with 15 to shoot. Uses a screen, gives to Ejiofor. I think it was a pass, but it ended up being a shot from three-point territory that hit the rim. No good. Gunn with the rebound. Gunn into the front court. Left side jumper is no good. Rebound Mitchell. The scoring drought, more than 5 minutes. Mitchell drives straight down the lane. Kick out left corner, Sellers. Hand in the face from Gunn, and timeout St. John's. As Sellers and Macklin start shoving one another. An official, Tim Clougherty, separates the two players. Rick Pitino is not happy, going to fellow official Pat Driscoll and saying, what's going on here? Why is there not a foul on the play? 12:16 to go here in the second half. And we've got a Johnny's timeout. It's St. John's 43, DePaul 35.
Well, they're playing aggressively, the Demons, but they've got to be able to put points on the board. 43-35. They haven't been able to do anything. Scoring drought to 5 minutes and 18 seconds now. So the second half has been tough on the Demons. 4 turnovers in the last 5 minutes. Haven't made a bucket, 0 for 6 from the floor. So tough run for the Demons right now. They got to get it picked up.
And now all three officials will go to the replay monitor to take a look at what just transpired between Brandon Macklin and Oziah Sellers. There was a little bit of a shove after the Johnnies called timeout as Macklin was looking to yank the basketball away from Sellers. Now the officials have looked at the replay monitor. They head to midcourt to talk things over. Pat Driscoll, Tim Clougherty, and Tony Henderson. 12:16 to go, second half. St. John's 43, DePaul 35. If you're wondering, St. John's has gone to the free throw line tonight 14 times. Blue Demons have been to the stripe 8 times. And the previous 3 halves leading into tonight's ball game saw the Blue Demons go to the line just 1 time.
Well, now the second half here, they have not been to the line yet in the second half. We're almost 8 minutes into the second half. They were 5 out of 8 in the first half, and once again have gone dry opportunities at the free throw line.
So as we wait for an official announcement as to what the officials have decided.
I don't think they should. I was able to watch a replay of it here at the table. I didn't see anything that would require any more than what they've already got. I think it's just move along.
No, I don't think
Nothing
that's
to
the
see here.
I don't think that's the case.
I'm never right.
Usually. So we'll wait for the officials to make their ruling. 12:16 to go here in the second half. St. John's 43, DePaul 35. St. John's on a 9-0 run. The Demons haven't put a point on the board in the last 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Long scoring droughts hurt DePaul when they squandered that 18-point advantage in the second half last time out against Xavier. There come these moments during the game where the Demons are not able to handle full court pressure. The game speeds up on them, and they can't generate those easy baskets that you need to just stop the bleeding.
Well, and just offensively in general, they hit flat spots that go on for too long. We talk about it's been 5 minutes now since they put any points on the board. So 9-0 run by the Johnnies. It's a 8-point game now, so obviously Demons had a 35-34 advantage before this run here, but they've got to be able to get a shot. I don't know that they have. If C.J. Gunn is not shooting the ball well, I don't know what their option is as far as a go-to guy coming out of this timeout. Now they need a basket. So we're going to watch and see. They've diagrammed something here. C.J. Gunn out of the game on the bench. So we're going to see what they do here coming out of the timeout.
So double technicals called on that play. And St. John's will trigger in with 21 to shoot. A technical on Macklin and a technical on Sellers. 12:16 to go, second half. St. John's will put it in play with 21 to shoot. Johnny's up 43-35 over DePaul. Abin Ayo will trigger in along the left sideline of the front court. Feeds Darling between the circles, hounded by Blocker. Darling with a hard left-handed dribble. Ejiofor left of the circle, right back to Darling left wing. He drives under the basket. Right side pass, Jackson puts it on the floor. Under 10 to shoot. He's at the free throw line. Stops the dribble, loops a pass inside Hopkins. And we've got a whistle on the play.
Did a nice job Hopkins did of positioning his body to get an angle to get that pass into the post. I think it was that N.J. Benson that picked up that foul. No, Blocker that gave it to.
Yeah, so second personal on Blocker. And that leads to an official timeout. 11:59 to go here in the second half. St. John's 43, DePaul 35. Dave, the scoring drought for the Blue Demons now at 5 minutes and 35 seconds. And St. John's will have the basketball coming out of the timeout. Even Dibs knows everyone needs a timeout every now and then, so why not take yours at the beach? Myrtle Beach is home to 60 miles of warm, sandy beaches, over 2,000 restaurants, and much more. Enter now for your chance to win your very own beach break getaway. Compliments of Visit Myrtle Beach. Go to visitmyrtlebeach.com/DePaul to enter. Your ultimate beach break is a click away. So you heard Rod Strickland say it. You've said it now, too. This is the critical point in the game. You have to make sure that St. John's doesn't run away with it right here on this 9-0 run.
Well, obviously you don't want St. John's to open up this lead. But, we're coming off a game here where we had an 18-point lead on the road at Xavier and not able to hold on. So there's plenty of time left here. Obviously, St. John's one of the best teams in the country, one of the best defensive teams in the country also. So it's just a tough way to make a living here for these Blue Demons when you can't put points on the board. They've won 2 games in Big East play so far this season, 4 overall, but 2 of those victories came by holding the opponent to 60 points or less. So victory over Seton Hall here at home, 67-60. and a victory over Georgetown 56-50. I remember that Georgetown game, we only gave up one basket in the whole second half. They shot 1 for 23 in that second half. So we are capable of some fantastic defensive efforts and defensive performances. But to make a living off that night in and night out, it's one thing to say that your team focuses on defense, and defense is what wins games. Obviously true, and true to almost, and to some extent for any team, even if you're an offensive team, you've got to be able to play some defense. But if you can't put points on the board, and certainly runs like this where you go 5-6 minutes dry, it really puts a lot of pressure on the defense to keep you in the game.
11:59 to go, second half. St. John's 43, DePaul 35. Red Storm will trigger in front court baseline right. Bounce pass inside by Mitchell, and the shot by Jackson, blocked by McClure. Demons come up with a loose ball in the near corner out of the timeout. Leighton Blocker's got it across the line left to right. Blocker at the head of the key. Off to the left, it's Macklin. Holds the ball by his right hip. Checked by Darling. Waits for Benson's screen, gets it. Now loops it to Benson at the top of the circle. Hands off to McClure between the rings. He's fouled by Sanning.
I thought they might have injured Benson on the offensive screen, but no. Picked up Sanning trying to get over the top of that screen. Again, St. John's playing very aggressively on the defensive side, on both sides of the ball. They're just a well-coached, aggressive team, hard-playing team, one of the best rebounding teams, one of the most physical teams in the Big East.
Sanning picks up his third, so he sits. Hopkins back in there for DePaul. McClure has it straight away, drives right, show and go move, right of the lane, working on Mitchell, and he lost the basketball. It rolls out of bounds. Last touch by Mitchell of St. John's, Blue Demons basketball.
Yeah, we've got a break there. McClure lost the ball, as you say, just happened to go off Mitchell's leg.
So 14 to shoot when the Demons put it in play. Front court baseline left, Blocker to trigger in. Demons have gone scoreless for 6 minutes. The inbounds pass goes to Macklin, right of the lane. Up high, Pierre Justin. Now McClure between the rings with under 10 to shoot. He drives right, steps back, three on the way. That is no good at the side of the rim. Rebound Mitchell for St. John's. 11:20 to go, second half. Johnny's 43, DePaul 35. Edge of four, head of the circle. Now a three on the way by Jackson is good from the right wing.
That was on the move, falling away from the basket. Off-balance shot, so things like that start going right for St. John's. We're in bigger trouble.
A 12-0 run for the Red Storm. Blocker's got it off to the right, hop step in the paint, kick out left corner. It's Macklin. He drives left of the lane, mid-post, whirls inside the paint, layup, banks it home, and it ends a scoring drought of 6.5 minutes for DePaul. St. John's 46, DePaul 37. 10:42 to go here in half number 2. Red Storm with the ball. Jackson drives left, right at Benson. Did he travel? Yeah, he did. Turnover, St. John's.
All right, so a couple mistakes by the St. John's team, and DePaul able to get a basket down finally with a drive to the bucket from Macklin, who's always seems to come up with a big play when you need it. But let's see if we can get a little bit of a run. We've cut it back within 10 now in the single digits.
McClure sits, gun back in the game for DePaul. Ruben Bray re-enters for St. John's as Etchefor gets a breather. Demons have to go the full length of the floor. Pierre Justin will trigger in full court. St. John's pressure. Bounce pass taken away in the near corner by Mitchell. Gives to Hopkins. Hangs in the air. Layup counted and one.
Yeah, we just talked about not making mistakes and cutting into this lead. Now what we're looking to do. Here with a turnover on the pressure by St. John's. They pressured us almost every possession. We've got a technical here on Coach Holtman.
And now Tim Clougherty is warning Holtman.
You know, I don't blame Coach Holtman for being upset. We had 60 minutes, a game and a half, with only shooting one free throw in the whole time. Here again, we haven't shot a free throw in the second half as St. John starts to open this game up a little bit here.
Jackson misses the first technical free throw. St. John's on a 14-2 run over the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Johnny's up 48-37 over DePaul. The second free throw goes down for Jackson. So it's now 49-37 St. John's with 10:32 to go.
CJ Gunn re-enters the game here. We've got to find somebody on this Blue Demon team that can put points on the board.
And now Hopkins will go to the line and try and complete the three-point play for St. John's. This could turn ugly here as Hopkins misses the free throw ball. Batted up in the air. Fight for the rebound. It's tracked down by blocker. I should say Macklin. Was he pushed out of bounds by Hopkins on the far sideline?
Foul or
the officials.
Things are getting a little bit tense here now as they're talking to Brandon Macklin.
So they called a foul on DePaul?
Yeah, here they are. They're walking down this direction.
No, now the officials are going to the replay monitor.
Are they going to read or are they just explaining what's going on? Hopefully we'll find out.
So we'll wait and see what the officials have determined here. All three of them are at the scorers table. And the teams have been sent back to their benches.
I think they're just worried about keeping us under control.
Bryce Hopkins gets called on a personal foul. He pushed Macklin out of bounds. So it'll be DePaul ball in the backcourt along the far sideline, and Macklin was indeed pushed. It just took the officials a little bit of time to figure out and sort things out. It's the fourth team foul on St. John's. The Demons have committed 9 team fouls. And now there's going to be a substitution. R.J. Smith will come in for DePaul. Layden Blocker will sit. So the 5 on the floor for the Blue Demons, a backcourt of Macklin, Gunn, and Smith. Up front, Pierre, Justin, and Blocker. C.J. Gunn will trigger in front court. Backcourt along the far sideline. Feeds Macklin in the far corner. He's working against Jackson. And now he gives the ball to R.J. Smith, who crosses the timeline off to the right. Smith uses a screen, hands off to Benson, who lost the ball. It's taken away by Jackson. Flies into the front court, bounce pass to the right back, left of the lane. Jackson, and we've got a foul called on the Blue Demons, away from the ball. Brandon Macklin
picks up is that his fourth or his fifth now? It's his fourth.
Dave, the game escaping the Blue Demons. St. John's 49, DePaul 37, 10-11 to go. And the crowd here at Wintrust is letting the officials hear it. Again, 10 team fouls now on the Blue Demons, meaning double bonus, as Dylan Mitchell will go to the line and shoot 2 for St. John's. Puts up the first. Back rim, no good. And then the officials blew the whistle. They thought it was a 1-and-1, but it's a double bonus. So one more free throw for Mitchell. We're staring into a very vocal DePaul student section. Mitchell puts up the free throw and knocks it down. And now we have a substitution. Fabian Flores re-enters. N.J. Benson back to the bench. 10-11 to go. Second half, Dave. It's St. John's 5, DePaul 37. Full court pressure by the Johnnies. In the far corner, it's Gunn. Centers it now to R.J. Smith, who crosses the timeline off to the left. Feeds Macklin between the rings. Macklin drives off to the left of the circle. Gunn, top key 3 is no good. At the front of the rim, fight for the rebound. Jackson's got it for St. John's. Outlet Mitchell across the line off to the right with a left-handed dribble. Spins inside the paint. Kick out Darling. Left wing 3 is way off. Rebound St. John's. Jackson for 3. He missed it from the right side. Macklin the rebound, and he's fouled.
Isn't Macklin always doing the dirty? He's playing with 4 fouls now. He's been on the bad end of a few whistle calls here as he's battling the St. John's team. That time, again, he's the guy down there fighting for loose balls and rebounds. It comes up, draws the foul again.
Bray picks up the foul, his second. St. John's on a 16-2 run. It's the Red Storm 50, Blue Demons 37, 9:40 to go here in the second half. Macklin sits. McClure back in the game for DePaul. Demons have turned it over 6 times in the last 8 minutes. Full court pressure by St. John's. Pierre Justin to trigger in. Dancing along the baseline. Feeds McClure straight away. And Cruz McClure will bring it up across the line, left to right for DePaul. Calling on a set play with the left hand. He yo-yos with the right. On the big DePaul logo at center court, he's defended by Sellers. McClure stops the dribble, needs help. No one's coming to the ball. Now R.J. Smith has it near the midcourt stripe, off to the left. 10 to shoot for DePaul. Smith drives left, hangs in the air, layup, counted and one! R.J. Smith taking matters into his own hands, and he'll go to the line and try and complete a 3-point play.
Nice job of penetrating into the lane and scoring through that contact. It took a good hit, but able to maintain his balance and finish through on that shot. So we need this right now.
Smith puts up the free throw and puts it in. It's now a 10-point game with 9:19 to go. St. John's 50, DePaul 40. Substitution for the Red Storm. Zuby Ejiofor re-enters as Prey goes back to the St. John's bench. Red Storm ball. Mitchell has it straight away, hounded by Gunn. Hands off to Bryce Hopkins between the rings. Bounce pass right of the circle. Ejiofor holds the ball waist high. Now a bounce pass inside. Darling lost the ball, knocked away, picks it up, gives to Ejiofor. Top key three. No good at the side of the rim. Pierre Justin the rebound for DePaul. Under 9 minutes to go. Demons down by 10. Gunn has it left wing. Hop step in the paint. Scoop left with the right hand. Short. Rebound Flores under the basket. Flores needs help. Loops a pass to the corner, and it's knocked out of bounds. Last touch along the baseline by Bryce Hopkins of St. John's.
Good job by Flores to keep that ball alive, come up with the offensive board. We need every chance we can get. We got to get that ball back.
Jackson back in. Darling sits for St. John's. 17 to shoot when the Demons put it in play. Front court, baseline right. R.J. Smith will trigger in. Red Storm 50, Blue Demons 40. Smith loops a pass up high. 3-point range to the right by Flores, and it's knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Ejiofor along the near sideline. It'll be DePaul ball.
I think we might have caught a break there, but St. John's isn't complaining or challenging.
So 15 to shoot now when the Demons put it in play. Gun to trigger in along the near sideline of the front court. Feeds Smith straight away. Hands off to Gunn ahead of the key. Off to the left behind the arc, McClure. Loops a pass inside Flores. Catch. He's too far under the basket, so he has to spin left of the lane. Working on Ejiofor. 1 to shoot, doesn't see it, and a shot clock violation on DePaul.
Well, Fabian Flores, his instincts with the ball under the basket there, he just doesn't seem to have had the experience to. He gets the ball down low, a big guy's underneath the basket, and he just seems lost once he gets his hands on it there.
8:20 to go, second half. St. John's with the ball on a 10-point lead over DePaul here at Wintrust Arena. Ejiofor head of the circle. Holds the ball waist high. One dribble to his right. Another dribble. Stops it. Feeds Jackson head of the key. Jackson stops at the left elbow. Whips a pass inside. Ejiofor a thunder dunk with the right hand. St. John's back up by 12, 52-40 over DePaul. 8 minutes remaining in the game. Demons with a basketball. Bounce pass inside. It's C.J. Gunn. Loops a pass that's taken away by Hopkins. He flies into the front court. Right wing pass and a three on the way. No good by Sellers. Flores the rebound for DePaul. Now R.J. Smith has it straight away. Left to right across the timeline. Smith uses a Flores screen. Bounces left. He's in three-point territory. Pierre Justin head of the key. Off to the right now. It's Gunn behind the arc. Between the legs with the dribble. Now in the corner along the baseline. Almost lost the ball. Keeps the dribble. Now drives inside the paint. Fall away two. Back rim. No good. Rebound Sellers for St. John's. 7:24 to go. 52-40. The Johnnies lead. Up high, Sellers. Fakes a three, shoots a three, missed the three. Long rebound out to Cruz McClure of the Blue Demons. And Cruz McClure will bring it into the front court straight away. McClure veers off to the left. Fakes a three. Gunn has it. Top of the circle. Gunn holds the ball by his right hip. Jab step left. And he calls time. Demons will talk it over. Another long scoring drought for DePaul. This one of 2+ minutes. 7:04 remaining in the game. It's St. John's 52, DePaul 40.
Puts a lot of pressure on the defense to have to keep them in the game when they go dry like this on the offensive end. They haven't scored now again in the last 2 minutes, 15 seconds. They've only made 2 out of their last 12 shots. And they're doing a great job defensively. St. John's on the game still shooting only 34%, 31% behind the three-point line. The defensive effort has been more than adequate. St. John's, for some reason, everybody gets to the free throw line more than the Demons do. Right now, St. John's, 12 out of 19, 63%. 10 more free throws than the Demons have had. They're 6 out of 9. So, again, the advantage has gone to the opposition here as far as the Demons' free throw attempts.
Disparty Law Group is Chicago's law firm. Disparty Law is the accident and injury law firm that fights hard for you. Just like the DePaul Blue Demons, the Disparty team knows how to win. When you're injured at work or in an accident, remember one name, Disparty Law Group, because Larry wins. Demons down by 12, 7 minutes remaining here in the second half. Number 22, St. John's 52, DePaul 40. Demons trying to stop a 2-game losing streak and knock off a top 25 team for the first time since 2023, when the Demons beat then 8th-ranked Xavier here at Wintrust Arena 73-72. Since Chris Holtman took over as the DePaul head coach, Blue Demons have yet to upset a ranked team. And for a while there, it looked like DePaul was going to make this a special night. They led most of the way in the first half, trailed by 1 at halftime. And St. John's has been dominant here in the second half, taking advantage of a number of DePaul turnovers. Blue Demons now with 13 for the game. And their defense has created some long scoring droughts here in this second half for DePaul.
Well, both of those facts are true, Zach. They had 4 turnovers at halftime, 13 turnovers now. As we're about 13 minutes into the second half, they turned the ball over 9 times in that 13 minutes. And again, those are turnovers off the offensive side of the ball, obviously. And turnovers lead often to high percentage shots on the other side of the floor. And you look at those numbers right now, the difference in this game, St. John's on points off turnovers. St. John's is outscoring the Blue Demons 18-2. Demons with 13 turnovers. St. John's 7 turnovers. They had 3 turnovers at half. They turned it over a few times in the second half, but defensive pressure by St. John's has bothered the Demons.
Brandon Macklin will trigger in the front court along the near sideline. He throws it in the backcourt. Ball caught by Cruz McClure. Hands off to R.J. Smith. Will cross the line left to right. Off to the left in three-point territory. Smith inside pass. Left to the lane. Benson working on Edgeforth. Backing in. Diagonal pass right side McClure. Extra pass. Pierre Justin misses a 3 from the head of the key. Fight for the rebound. And a loose ball foul called on St. John's. Once again, Brandon Macklin underneath, standing his ground.
Mitchell fouls Brandon Macklin. Macklin's out there with 4 fouls. And again, he's the guy on the offensive boards. It seems like, I keep saying, every time there's a 50-50 ball or a hustle play to be made, Brandon Macklin's involved in the action.
So Macklin at the line. Here's a 1-and-1. The first goes down, and Macklin will have one more. So that ends another 2+ minute scoring drought for the Blue Demons. One more free throw for Macklin. Here it comes. It's good. So he hits both. Back to a 10-point game. 6:46 remaining second half. St. John's 52, DePaul 42. Do the Demons have a run in them? Across the line, Mitchell off to the left for the Johnnies. Head of the circle, Edgeforth holds the ball over his head. Checked by Benson. Ball knocked away by Benson, picked up by Edgeforth between the rings. Gets to Jackson off to the right in 3-point territory. Left-handed dribble, spins left of the circle. Working on Pierre Justin, hands off to Mitchell at the free throw line. Right side pass, Hopkins. 5 to shoot inside. Edgeforth turnaround hook with the right hand goes down just to the right of the lane.
Edgeforth was begging for that ball. He was on the block for most of that possession. Couldn't get anybody to pass it to him. Finally, Hopkins found him.
Demons down by 12, approaching 6 minutes remaining in the game. Smith has it, right of the circle, uses a Pierre Justin screen. Spins to the top of the key, drives left, stops at the elbow. Gives to McClure behind the arc on the left wing. 10 to shoot for DePaul. McClure goes behind the back with the dribble. Driving left, angle cut off. Inside the paint, Benson, up fake, and a foul call.
Really? Wow. I don't know. I don't know what you think, Zach. We had a pretty good angle on that. I don't know what Bryce Hopkins could have done. He was standing there, held his ground, waiting for N.J. Benson to NJ Benson gave him a few pump fakes. They're trying to get him up in the air. It looked to me like he was pretty stationary, but I won't complain. We haven't had many trips to get to opportunities to get to the free throw line. Unfortunately, NJ Benson's our man heading up there. He hasn't been very successful from the line over the course of the season. He's barely a 50% shooter. Let's see if he can get a couple here.
It's a 1-and-1 for NJ Benson. He bends the knees, snaps the right wrist, and missed the free throw. Ejiofor has the rebound, falls out of bounds along the baseline, tripped over Brandon Macklin.
Of course, Brandon Macklin, of course, in the way.
And they're going to say that it's DePaul ball. So the Demons catch a break. Don't tell anybody. Layden Blocker will trigger in. Front court baseline right. It's St. John's 54, DePaul 42, 5:48 remaining here in the second half. Mitchell will defend the inbound passer, Blocker, who holds the ball waist high and loops a pass to Benson, three-point range right side. Benson spins to the top of the key, hands off to Macklin at the head of the circle. Macklin, crossover dribble, driving left on Jackson, hangs in the air, floater up, shot, no, tap back, won't go by Banks, rebound Benson, and he jams it in with both hands! NJ picked up the ball left of the lane, used some fancy footwork, created space, and hammered it home with both hands. Demons down by 10, 5:22 to go. Hopkins drives, stops, mid-post, left of the lane. At the free throw line, Ejiofor. Hands off to Jackson, driving left, hangs in the air. His layup, no good. Rebound. Blocker had it, lost it. Ejiofor picks it up and hammers it home with both hands.
Loose ball on the floor. Their Blocker down on the floor trying to pick it up. Couldn't corral it.
Demons into the front court. Blocker off to the right, hop step in the paint, and we've got Smith with it now on the left side. Between the circles, it's Macklin. Uses a screen, veers right. Almost lost control of the ball. Picks it up in the corner. Gives to Smith, head of the circle. Under 5 minutes remaining. St. John's 56, DePaul 44. 10 to shoot for DePaul. Blocker, alley-oop. And we've got a foul called on St. John's.
St. John's 18 fouls, so that wasn't a shooting foul, but it should go to the line to shoot a 1-and-1 here. Again, a chance to cut it to a 10-point game. We've got plenty of time left. Just got to figure out a way to put some points on the board.
Well, the free throw line will help. Layden Blocker, one of the best in the Big East at the stripe. 6th in the conference, shooting 83% this season coming into play today. And Blocker is 2 of 2 at the stripe. It's a 1-and-1. Here's the first. It's good. And Blocker will get one more. St. John's 56, DePaul 45, 4:38 remaining. It's 19 fouls now on St. John's. DePaul has committed 10. Blocker wearing suede blue shoes with a powder blue DePaul alternate uniform as he knocks down the second free throw, and it's a 10-point game. 56-46 St. John's, 4:35 remaining. Second half. Across the line, Hopkins off to the right. Hands off to Sellers near the midcourt stripe right side. Sellers dribbles between the rings. Waits for an Ejiofor screen, gets it, spins right, stops at the elbow. A bounce pass inside, right of the lane. Ejiofor, couple of up fakes, layup by Hopkins. No! Rebound, Banks for DePaul. Outlet Blocker flies into the front court, goes straight down the lane, angle cut off by Jackson. So he bounces it left side. Banks fakes a three, puts it on the floor, hop step in the paint, and he's fouled. Caleb Banks will go to the line and shoot 2.
Well, it helps to hear a whistle once in a while on our side of the floor here. Good aggressive play by the Demons. Stops the clock and allows us to cut into this 10-point lead.
Each team in the double bonus now. 4:06 remaining. 56-46 St. John's. Banks at the line for 2 on the year. A 74% free throw shooter as he knocks home the first. And now it's a 9-point game as the Demons are beginning to claw their way back. A foul was called on Ejiofor. He's got 2 personals. One more free throw for Banks. He bends the knee, snaps the right wrist, and puts home the second free throw. 56-48 the score. St. John's on top of DePaul. 4:05 remaining in the game. Dylan Darling across the line off to the right for the Johnnies. Off to the right. Behind the arc, Sellers. Centers it, head of the key, Hopkins. Bounce pass right of the circle, Ejiofor. Holds the ball by his left hip and hands off to Darling. 15 to shoot. Darling's got it between the rings. Bounce pass left of the lane, mid-post. It's Hopkins. Ball poked away by Macklin. Picked up by Hopkins, left side. Hop step in the paint. Hangs in the air. Shot block. Taken away by Blocker. Flies into the front court. Euro step. Layup. Banks it home. Demons are right back in the game. 3:33 remaining. Timeout, St. John's. Red Storm 56, Blue Demons 50.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to get it done and get it done with defense. You're holding St. John's now with 56 points, 50 points for the Demons. It's a tough road to hoe to get points on the board, but that's the way to do it. You pull a turnover like that, knock the ball loose, and then you go coast to coast before St. John's can set up their defense, put some points on the board quick. We got to put points on the board fast. No better way to do that than get a defensive turnover and then go coast to coast with it and get the layup.
We've mentioned so many times in this second half that the Demons have been through these long scoring droughts, but now on a 6-0 run over the last minute plus. And DePaul right back in the game, down by as many as 13 in this second half. The Demons trail by 6 with 3:33 remaining. St. John's 56, DePaul 50. Blocker leading the way for the Blue Demons with 10 points tonight, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He's filling up the box score.
He's done a great job. Right now, 3:33 to go in this game. We've got Brandon Macklin and Blocker both on the floor now with 4 fouls. So it's no time to be cautious on your foul situations, but they've got to be aware and not take any, not pick up any dumb fouls here. Just play smart basketball. They've got to cut to 6. So continue to keep this pressure on St. John's and see what happens. Just stay close.
So let me ask you this. The Demons have been involved in so many tight finishes this season, right? Especially last time out at Xavier. That has to help you, right? In these situations, the motto of DePaul is don't flinch, right? So you would have to think, and we talked about this with Chris Holtman during the pregame show, that the biggest thing that he tried to do following that gut-wrenching loss to Xavier, where the Demons squandered an 18-point advantage and lost at the buzzer to the Musketeers over the weekend, the biggest thing he tried to do is, all right, how do we learn from this? This is part of the learning process, right? Understanding that, okay, you're going to fall behind. Things aren't going to go your way offensively. It might look ugly, but find a way to stop the bleeding, and the Demons are trying to do it as we speak.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's called the character builder, that Xavier game. You let a game like that get away from you, you really can't get it back. That game's gone. You gave up a big lead in the second half, but here you're trailing most of the second half. We've got a 4-game winning streak here at home in Big East play. We talked about a chance to win 5 in a row and a chance to knock off a top 25 team in St. John's and break a string of 8 straight victories that they've had here. So a lot on the line. The Demons not giving this up, even though they've been down double figures for a large portion of the second half. We just saw Xavier make a run at us on their floor. Let's see if the Demons can make a run here at home on Wintrust.
3:33 remaining second half. St. John's with the ball and the lead, 56-50 over DePaul. Right to left across the line comes Dylan Darling, the reserve point man, transferred from Idaho State. He veers off to the left in three-point territory. Now right wing at Ejiofor, gives to Darling behind the arc, checked by Benson. So there's a mismatch somewhere on the floor. Off to the right, it's Hopkins, holds the ball over his head, puts it on the floor, hops out of the paint, scoop left on the left hand, banks it home.
Athletic play there. Hopkins is able to come up with big plays like that. He's big and strong.
It ends a 6-0 run for the Blue Demons. St. John's up by 8, 58-50 over DePaul, under 3 minutes remaining in the game. Blocker has it off to the left in three-point territory. White headband, glasses with black rims. Bounce pass inside Benson. Left of the lane, backing in on Ejiofor. Backs in. Double team comes from Hopkins. Benson flips it up high to Banks, off to the right. Smith fakes a 3, 5 to shoot. Lost the ball, taken away by Darling, who sprints into the front court one-on-one with Smith, hangs in the air, missed the layup! Caleb Banks had the rebound, foul called before he grabbed the rebound, and Banks landed hard on his tailbone under the basket. What's the call here? There's a foul that's been called. It's on the Blue Demons, right? Foul on the Blue Demons. Is Caleb Banks
on the Blue Demons?
They've called a foul on Brandon Macklin.
That would be his 5th on top of Caleb Banks taking a very scary-looking fall.
Banks is up on his feet. And he's staying in the game. He's not even being looked at by trainer Mike Summers, so he appears to be fine.
Unfortunately, Brandon Macklin is not staying in the game as he picked up his 5th foul. CJ Gunn reports in.
Yeah, so Gunn in, Macklin out for the rest of the game, and Bryce Hopkins at the line for 2. Here's the first. Hopkins knocks it down. Hopkins played his high school ball at Fenwick, started his college career at Kentucky, transferred to Providence, where he was a terrific player before injuries hit, and now closing out his college career at St. John's. He misses the second free throw. Demons with a rebound. St. John's 59, DePaul 50, 2:31 remaining in the game. Blocker across the line straight away. Plays catch with CJ Gunn, right of the circle. Blocker, hop step in the paint. A bounce pass to the left. Gunn drives, stops mid-post left of the lane, gives right side. Smith for 3. That's no good at the back of the rim. Gunn skies for the rebound, can't handle it. Hopkins has it into the front court, working one-on-one. Layup, missed the bunny. Great defense by Blocker. Rebound batted out of bounds. They say it was last touched by St. John's. Let's see if DePaul elects to challenge. Are the Blue Demons going to challenge this?
Doesn't look like it.
So St. John's will trigger in the front court along the near corner. 2:08 remaining in the game. St. John's 59, DePaul 50. Dylan Mitchell will put it in play for the Red Storm. Loops a pass left wing behind the arc. Ejiofor has it. Holds the ball over his head. Swiping at it, N.J. Benson. Hands off to Sellers, left of the circle. Up high, Darling. 10 to shoot for the Red Storm. Whips a pass inside Sellers. Reverse layup. Banks it home left to right.
That was a big bucket. Great pass by Darling. He was almost out by the half-court line. Saw him underneath breaking open.
1:45 to go. St. John's 61, DePaul 50. Demons into the front court. Off to the right in three-point territory. It's Smith. Spins to the top of the key. Off to the right. Blocker shakes the shoulders. Whirls baseline. Loses control of the ball. It rolls out of bounds. And another turnover by the Blue Demons. And that's number 15 on the night.
Making a spin move, trying to turn back and go to the baseline. Just lost control of the ball.
Sannon back in the game for St. John's as Mitchell sits. Cruz McClure will re-enter for DePaul. Blocker back to the bench. 1:36 remaining. St. John's 61, DePaul 50. Now the Demons will apply full court pressure. Hopkins to trigger in. Far corner, Darling. Centers it to Hopkins, who loops it into the front court. Now Sellers has it down the left sideline in no hurry. Under a minute and a half to go. St. John's up by 11. Ejiofor has it between the circles. Holds the ball knee-high. Dribbles to his left. Gives to Sellers between the rings. Blitz by double team at the free throw line. Ejiofor hop step in the paint. Kick out right corner. Here's a 3. Sannon misses from the right side. Rebound Ejiofor, and he's fouled.
Ejiofor on the offensive boards or Caleb Banks couldn't keep him off. It just ball bounced to him and running out of time here. Minute and 11 seconds to go in an 11-point game. Ejiofor to the line.
So Ejiofor will shoot 2. 1 minute and 11 seconds remaining. St. John's 61, DePaul 50. R.J. Smith will head to the bench, and Leighton Blocker will re-enter after Ejiofor is done at the free throw line. Here's the first. It's good.
Leighton Blocker with 4 fouls, so offensive, defensive switches. They can't allow. Leighton Blocker couldn't pick up that 5th foul on the intentional foul, so they got him in on offense here.
And Dave, the Demons have gone another one of those long scoring droughts. This one nearly 2.5 minutes. St. John's on a 6-0 run. One more free throw for Ejiofor. Here it comes. It's short. One-handed rebound for Benson. 1:10 remaining. St. John's 62, DePaul 50. Right corner. It's Gunn, fakes a 3. Blocker head of the key. Blocker hop step in the paint. Couple of up fakes. Floats up a runner. It is no good, but he got fouled on the play by Darling. 2 free throws coming up for Leighton Blocker.
Good job by Leighton to attack the basket. That pump fake there got Darling up in the air, which stops the clock, which is the most important thing here. Time running out with a minute to go.
And it puts the Demons' best free throw shooter at the line. Blocker 4 of 4 at the stripe tonight. Here's the first. He missed it short. 1 minute to go. St. John's 62, DePaul 50. Blocker DePaul's leading scorer tonight with 10 points. Zuby Ejiofor leading the way for St. John's with 16 points, 9 rebounds. Here's the second free throw for Blocker. It's good. Timeout, DePaul. It's an 11-point game. That free throw ends a scoring drought of 2.5 minutes for DePaul. 1 minute remaining. Second half, St. John's 62, DePaul 51.
This St. John's team averages 84 points a game, one of the top offensive teams in the Big East. And you've got to give the Demons credit on the defensive side of the ball. They've done a nice job. St. John's only shooting 35% for the game. They come in league play shooting 46%. So, again, one of the top offensive teams in the Big East. We've held them to 62 points on our floor. We've got to be able to put more than 62 points on the board here. So it's too much pressure on the defensive side. They have to stop these guys almost every possession down the floor. It's too hard. We've got to be able to get some runs ourselves.
St. John's 62, DePaul 51. A minute remaining in the game. St. John's has to go the full length of the floor. Demons will apply full court pressure. Hopkins to trigger in. He's dancing along the baseline under the basket. Feeds Ejiofor right back to Hopkins, who's got it underneath the rim. Near sideline pass to Darling in the backcourt and diagonal spin into the front court, and he's immediately fouled.
I don't know if that makes sense at that point. If you're going to foul quicker in the shot clock. I guess if you're looking to maybe get a steal before they cross half court, if they cross half court, foul them. So obviously that was the instructions. And they stop the clock and hope they can get another chance here if St. John's misses a couple free throws.
CJ Gunn committed the personal. 53.2 seconds remaining. Darling at the line for 2. The first is good. Dylan Darling, a 65% free throw shooter, at 17 points in St. John's win over DePaul in New York back in December. 63-51 the score. St. John's on top. The second free throw also good by Darling. So it's a 64-51 game in favor of the Red Storm. 53.2 seconds remaining. Full court pressure by St. John's. Now they drop back as Layden Blocker has it straight away and will cross the timeline left to right. Blocker veers off to the right, immediately greeted by Hopkins in the corner. Blocker with a crossover dribble. Backs in mid-post right of the lane. Hangs in the air, floats up a wild runner. No good, but he got fouled on the play.
He got bailed out on that.
So Hopkins picks up the personal. That's his fourth. And Blocker will go to the line for 2 with 37.6 seconds remaining in the game.
Layden Blocker had decided he was going to shoot that before they inbounded it on the other side of the floor there off of that free throw. He was going to come down. He just didn't let loose of the ball, dribbled it all the way into the crowd, and picked up the foul on about 3 or 4 pump fakes there. Finally got the whistle.
Blocker hits the first free throw. Demons down by 12 with 37.6 seconds remaining. One more free throw for Blocker. Takes a couple of dribbles, bends the knees, and knocks home the second free throw.
Blocker, the only Demon in double figures in this game. That gives him, I think, 13 points for the game.
You're right. 37.6 seconds to go. St. John 64, DePaul 53. Full court pressure by the Demons. Far corner, Ejiofor being hounded by Pierre Justin. And now the Demons commit a foul.
Yeah. Stretching this out, but time's running out. Demons still have one timeout. St. John's has one timeout.
Nope. St.
I don't know what
John's.
they're going to do.
St. John's just called
Did they
its
use their
final
last one?
timeout.
Yep.
32.2 seconds remaining in the game. St. John's 64, DePaul 53. Now, if there is a weakness to this St. John's team, the Johnnies don't have a true point guard. And that's what the Demons have been trying to take advantage of here with the full court pressure, and it has not worked quite the way the Demons would like.
Well, it has worked as far as on defensively controlling St. John's, 64 points. Certainly can't complain about the defensive effort. St. John's shooting only 35% in the game. If you knew that coming in, the Demons have done everything they could possibly do against one of the top 20, 25 teams in the country on the defensive end, but 53 points isn't going to get it done.
Yeah, the Demons have committed 15 turnovers tonight. I believe St. John's has scored 18 points off those turnovers. The Demons have scored just 2 points off of 7 St. John's turnovers. And ultimately, I think when we look back, that'll be the story of the game. The rebounding edge is with DePaul, 37-35 over St. John's. And the Demons are toe-to-toe as far as the shooting percentage it goes. St. John's ball. The Red Storm will trigger in the backcourt along the far sideline as Shannon will put it in play. Holds the ball over his head and feeds Darling, who's bumped under the basket in the backcourt by CJ Gunn. I believe that's his 4th personal. 29.5 seconds to go. St. John 64, DePaul 53, and Darling at the line for 2. He's a 65% free throw shooter this season for the Red Storm. But 2 of 2 at the stripe tonight. A lefty who bends the knees, flicks the wrist, and puts home the first free throw.
I would think the fouling ought to stop at this point. Just let this game play out. 30 seconds to go.
The next free throw for Darling is good. Blocker re-enters for DePaul.
Still making the offensive-defensive substitutions here.
As Smith sits, 29.5 seconds to go. St. John 66, DePaul 53. Full court pressure by the Red Storm. Blockers got it straight away across the timeline. Hands off to Gunn, off to the right. Step back 3 on the way. It's good. CJ Gunn knocking it down from 3-point territory. Demons down by 10 with 21.9 seconds to go. Darling has it in the near corner, being hounded by Blocker and Gunn. Darling has the ball knocked away, and a foul's been called along the near sideline.
And that's Blocker's 5th.
Blocker fouls out. 2 free throws coming up for St. John's. 16.6 seconds remaining. Red Storm 66, Blue Demons 56.
He and Brandon Macklin both have fouled out. And I'm just looking at the stats. Brandon Macklin, 9 rebounds in this game. He leads. He, along with Ejiofor, are the leading rebounders in this game with 9 apiece. So Brandon Macklin doing the dirty work.
Darling's first free throw is good. 67-56 the score. St. John's with the lead. One more free throw for Darling, and that one's good as well. 16.6 seconds remaining. St. John's 68, DePaul 56. Smith across the line, drives right, gives to Gunn right wing, fires up a 3, missed it. Rebound.